Brawl number two, Clash of the Keywords. Joined with Trump here. How you feeling today?
Feeling great. Looking forward to seeing the other side of the bracket today.
Yeah, that's true. We got to see most of the top part of the bracket yesterday. We were hoping to see Hoj versus Caldi, but we couldn't quite get the two players together yesterday. So we will kick it off with that game. If we take a look at the bracket just to see who's involved and what we saw yesterday, we can see that the top half of the bracket ended up in Zele qualifying for today's final, going through Show and going through Eloise, who had defeated Stan Sivka. Today we're going to see who qualifies through the lower bracket. We're going to have Kaldi versus Hoj, followed by Strivecrew versus Amaz. The winner of each of those matches will go on to play against Zele in the final. So what are we playing? We are playing Clash of the Keywords. You had a little bit of time to go through and try one of these runs. Players had 15 minutes to abide by. All minions must contain the same keyword, and different keywords must be used for each deck. What do you think, Trump? Do you think we'll see much different stuff from the lower bracket?
Well, yesterday I did say that I thought that Paladin, Battle Cry, Hunter Death Rattle, and Taunt Druid were going to be, well, those are the ones that I came up with, and I thought that probably that's the baseline of decks to be based off of. It's possible that people thought of better ideas, but I think it's pretty good. Caldi's playing exactly that lineup of Hunter, Druid, Paladin, though from what we saw yesterday, some people aren't playing exactly that archetype. We saw a charge Hunter yesterday. That was
Yeah.
very interesting. It did fail horribly, but it was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Zele kind of ran through that deck pretty fast twice. It was Show who ended up giving it a try. Um, so the finals are going to be a little bit of a different format. It is going to be a best of seven, and players will have additional time to build a fourth deck. And that's kind of interesting because of the exclusionary factor of the rule set. Um, well, it's not going to be quite that easy because we will have to dive into one of these more obscure ones. And it being Conquest, you really have to know what you're doing. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen the Stealth one yet. I think Stealth Druid is real. Stealth Druid is real. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe.
Well, the tough part is then you lose your taunt druid, but maybe someone didn't bring a taunt druid and they can
Well,
go for
Hoach
the
didn't
stealth thing.
didn't bring a Stealth Druid.
That's right. Speaking of Caldi versus Hosh, it was scheduled to be played yesterday, but
Hmm.
again, thanks to the good sportsmanship of Hoj to allow Caldi to move the match to today. All right,
Yeah.
so I think at this point we're ready, and the players are getting ready. Let's.
Yeah, we'll get into it here when we can. Again, this is live, so sometimes, it may take a little bit longer to get into a game compared to another one. As far as the classes here, we see Paladin, which was your favorite. We see Hunter, which we talked about, had the very strong presence with Death Rattle in the tournament. And then we have Mage and Druid. You think we're gonna see this Taunt Mage finally? I think Show had a Taunt Mage, but it didn't see play, I believe.
Let's see if I remember correctly. Show didn't bring a mage. I think we saw a mage, but it wasn't taunt mage. And I was like, huh, I wonder why mage would run a taunt because there aren't that many.
Okay.
But it could be an interesting archetype.
All right. Well, as we've seen so far in the tournament many times, it is going to be a Hunter-Hunter opener, and it is going to be Death Rattle Hunter versus Death Rattle Hunter. Contrary to what you may believe on ladder, it seems like the more controlling Hunter does come out the winner in what we've seen so far in this GEICO Brawl.
Yeah, that's probably mostly because part of what makes Hunter x Hunter beat the longer range control deck is because of the charged minions. But because no charged minions currently in the game have Death Rattle, uh,
Okay.
it doesn't quite work out that aggro Hunter beats more
Yeah,
controlling Hunter.
the minion's just not sticky enough. We don't have Caldy's cam for you guys today, but we doubled up on Hoj. He's got his pet birdie budgie named Pidgey apparently joining in. How about that? I'm sure this will
Well,
give him a massive competitive edge here.
yeah,
Two
let's
mines.
hope that he doesn't get Captain's Parrot out of Web Spinner. Otherwise, that may go badly for his parrot.
Yep, yep. All right. Well, you have the option to coin out a haunted creeper to kind of trump this, but I don't think you'd want to. I think you want that turn three piloted shredder into that turn four piloted shredder.
Yeah, yesterday we actually saw this match, and Coin Creeper was played, but this always depends based on the other context of your hand. And in this case, since you don't have a three drop, absolutely seems like the right play to do two, and then coin shredder
Whoa!
shredder.
Looks like Hoj got the better end of that one.
Yeah,
Angry
usually
Ch
that might be too slow and constructed, but in this format, I think it's just slow enough for Gazrilla to legitimately possibly enter the battlefield and smack some fools.
Yeah. Now I think the ooh, that Heifer's gonna clock in some damage here. Actually, that might be just enough for Caldi to apply just way too much pressure in this game. With a mad
Yeah, it looks like that
scientist.
Huffer is going to do at least 12 damage, which doesn't have a immediate answer to it.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Looks like he's debating between. Oh, he's going to go for the Huffer so he can kill it immediately. Okay.
All right, and this plays horribly into Unleash, so this is kind of like a big risk that he's undertaking. He made the decision pretty quickly, so I'd imagine that he's just like comfortable. He's like, if he has Unleash, then I guess I lose, and if not, he thinks he can pull out a win here.
Yeah, he looks into the future and sees that if he takes the slower play, he's going to just take too much damage based off of the six already. Hunter versus Hunter, there's often a tipping point where at some point you need to make a very desperate play in order to survive.
Mm.
So Hoj makes what is not quite a desperate play, but he's like seeing that in the future he would need to make one. So here he makes a less extreme. That's a big
Whoa,
pickup. Unleash.
that is a huge pickup.
He can get up to five dogs with that.
Yeah, I wonder how you do it though, because okay, so the leper gnome goes into the haunted creeper, and then you play the dogs, and you I guess can you try to trigger both sides at the same time? I mean,
Oh,
there has to be
no.
freeze traps being played here, right?
Right, but you might be able to trigger both freezing traps. That would be pretty efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So you send a dog, in, but you have to be wary of snakes and explosives also. Um,
Okay.
I guess first you send it into one of the, yeah, and then you try for the freezing, and then you kill the other one, and then you try for freezing again. And sometimes you get snaked, but not much you can do.
Actually, don't know if he'll go for the other one. Oh, looks like he will.
All right. Well, that is
Wow.
as elegant a way to clear off two freezing traps as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Big turn by Hoj there.
Oh man, and now he picks up the bow. It is one turn late of two extra charges. But Caldi does have a considerable life lead still, and he's got that extra draw off the quick shot. So
Ooh, Hoj is sporting the Feign Death and possibly the slower type of hunter here.
mm-hmm.
Kaldi got really efficiently removed there, but still, that bow does represent possibly six damage, and the hero power is possibly four damage over the next two turns.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 13 damage right there.
I think he actually has too many creatures to feign death next turn. And then he won't get the shredder.
Oh, Sludge Belcher is a really big pickup that allows the Snake Trap to go through and allows the bow to pick up an extra charge. So Cali's game plan is going to be to kill his opponent in exactly two turns.
Yeah, and it's going to work here. Hoj would basically need that second Unleash the Hounds to really keep up with this at all.
Yeah, what Hoj needs to do is I'm sure he can see his imminent death in two turns because the bow and the hero power alone are 10 damage. So he would need to try to set up a kill in two turns, and that seems like a very difficult task, even with two Savannah Hyman.
I feel it would have to involve some ridiculous shredder RNG, but you
Yeah,
don't get the outcome of the shredder. Like
this is some serious feign death value though. You're gonna get
no,
two
I think
hyenas.
you're mistaken. I think you actually have to suicide the creeper and then feign death. Otherwise, you don't get the outcome of the shredder. See?
Okay, yeah, I think you're right there.
See? No shredder. And I think you need a wild shredder to actually have a chance this game. Yeah. That's basically it. Like, I don't know if it's lethal. I don't think it's lethal. 6, 8, 11. Oh, actually, it's one off, right?
That is one off. Yep.
You can't draw with quick shot because the draw was what I would imagine one of the slowest creatures in the deck. But still, though, like you know, with a death rattle deck, your opponent can't really gain life. So if he can't gain life and you get him to 1, how does he do 27 when his board is filled with garbage already?
Well, I mean, he does have 15 showing if he gets rid of the two spiders. So all he would need is 12. And that isn't possible because two kill commands will deal 10 and then he won't have the extra mana. So even
Arcane
thinking
shot,
about the worst case. What was that?
arcane shot.
Arcane shot. Oh, yes. That would work. Leok would do a lot of damage.
Yeah, yeah. Leok would do 6 actually, right? Because you have to suicide a creature.
I think it would deal 5 because you'd have to suicide 2 to kill off the use.
Mm,
Which would be the same as kill command, anyways.
yeah, yeah. It would. Clockwork
That won't do it.
Gnome.
But that's
That's an
interesting.
interesting inclusion indeed. Yeah.
I wonder if he's running that instead of Leopard Gnome or if he's running it with Leopard Gnome.
Well, there's really not much to think about here. You have no way to gain life, and you cannot kill off your shredder. So it's a pretty clear-cut concede in my book.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to make sure.
Hmm.
Got to make sure all the time, in fact.
Yeah, all the time. All right, so Caldi gets the first point on the board. Again, both players going to their go-to hunter on the opener, and Caldi just gets the better of it. I think it really just started to get a bit out of control with the Huffer roll on Animal Companion. It just allowed him to push for so much, even getting totally owned by Unleash. Just the life difference was too big to ignore.
Yeah, Huffer ends up doing indeed 8 damage, and that's just so much in the early game. Plus, you have to deal with Huffer.
Yeah. All right. Well, coming out of that game, I mean, you kind of have to assume what your opponent is running. I mean, you kind of know it's going to be a Battlecry Paladin. You kind of know it's going to be a Taunt Druid. But look at this, Anixia. How about
Oh, it
that?
looks like Kaldi has embraced the Dragon Paladin setup. We don't know whether or not Hoj has as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, Dragon Consort naturally synergizes with a lot of the well, with the second rule of this brawl, which is you have to put Nozdormu in your deck. And as we saw from the first day, a lot of the times people drew Nozdormu, it was a dead card. But when Nozdormu gets 2 costed less, and it works to activate your Dragon Enablers, that can be a substantial buff for Nozdormu.
We've also seen the Battlecry decks in the past run BGH, and in some cases the double BGH, and I thought that was pretty effective. But you don't really have room for all of that. Like, if you have the dragons, you probably have like the regular Battlecry Paladin cards, which, I mean, there's quite a few of those. So I don't know. It feels like you have to be just missing a little bit of something.
Yeah, there sure are. We did see one deck with 2 BGH the other day, but I think in Paladin, since you're already running 2 Elder Peacekeeper, that's a bit too much. But 1 could be right, or possibly even 0, since you do
Hmm.
have the 2 Peacekeepers. Kaldi with a really high end curve right now with a 5 drop, 8 drop, 7 drop, 9 drop. But at least he has 2 Muster for Battles, which are really good in this matchup.
Yeah, it looks like you'll be okay here. The Argus is probably the play here. You do get cleared out, but if your opponent doesn't have a great turn 4, you'll be ahead.
Yep, Hoj sporting what looks to be more of a zoo type paladin deck with buffs with Shroud Sun Cleric. Looks a lot like Aloysius' zoo deck, which was also focused on getting guys on the board and then
Hmm.
buffing them.
All right, well, if you coin your dragon consort, you will have the option to play a 7-drop dragon next turn. But I don't even think there is a 7-drop dragon in the game. Not yet. Chulma. He's coming.
Almost.
Almost. All right. Well, with the lack of the dragon follow-up, he decides to go with Lotheb to possibly punish any future plays. Oh, what a punish indeed. That would have been quite nice. Instead, I think Hoj will have to settle for Alder Peacekeeper.
Yep. Hoja is going to have to think about whether or not to ooze a 1-2, or he can save it for absolutely that deck will run True Silver. So he's going to save it.
Yeah. In this current format, all the restrictions really apply only to creatures, so all weapons and all spells are legal. And you have to assume playing Paladin, there's at least the double True Silver to follow.
Too bad for Nozdurmu there, even though his cost is reduced by 2. I think Dr. Boom is still going to be better on 7.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just wondering if there are any dragon draws that can be played. I think Chromagus is the only 8th drop dragon.
Yes. If there's Azure Drake, that would make it cost 3, and then that usually wants to get comboed with Consecration.
Hmm.
That would be really good against Quartermaster and a lot of guys.
Well, just Consecrate itself is going to be pretty good here if Kaldi ends up drawing into it. Doesn't require the spell damage at all. Oh, not quite.
Yep. Time to face the wrath of the ooze. At least Light's Justice is doing work for Caldi's side. Able to keep the guys down, otherwise the Quartermaster would do serious damage.
Hmm. And I mean, I think taking Ooze is just a pretty fine idea. You have to assume everybody is playing at least Hunter, and Paladin does seem pretty strong, especially if you think people are going to be playing Paladin. If you're playing Paladin, you might as well put Ooze in there. There's just kind of a fitting end. Like,
Makes
if
sense.
you,
I might have
yeah,
been more inclined to put Harrison into it if we were looking for a battle cry, but there are not that many 2 drops out there, I suppose. So Ooze doubles as a possible 2 mana
yeah.
3/2. But so many players have been reluctant to play it as a 2 mana 3/2.
I also think there's just really not that many weapons that have that many charges. Like True Silver just has the 2, and you always use the 1 when you play it. Um, so you're never gonna have like that super dream scenario with Harrison, which you kind of have to account for.
Yep, that's true. All right. The
Yeah,
boom. Faces down
I believe
12
that's
damage.
it.
Yep, that would do it.
Yeah, the quartermaster adds another 4. The abusive sergeant another 2 now. That just has to be enough.
Keldy's draw just very slow there. While
Yeah.
Hoj is manages to pull off what Eloise couldn't do, which is to actually get minions on the board to buff. And that's a lot more solid with this Paladin deck, because you can just spawn guys, I guess.
Yeah, you get the guys. You also get the buffs, the kind of like if you just don't have just like a basic creature to play, you can just play the dude and then kings him or something like that. We also saw Onyxia in one of the decks, which seems like a pretty good inclusion in a Battlecry type of deck where you really want to be buffing your minions because it's pretty hard to clear out Onyxia and all the whelps at any turn. So that evens it up. The paladin on Hode's side gets the check mark, and Kali still has the opening hunter victory. Um, so what are we looking for matchups here? I do believe it is a taunt mage, by the way.
Yeah, in the notes, it does describe Hoj's
Think
mage as a
so.
taunt mage. Now, this is going
Yeah,
to be something
taunt mage.
interesting because one of the thoughts about this is you can use any spells you want. So maybe it's the spells that actually have the real power here, and
Hmm.
Hoj is someone who's going to capitalize on that. Here it is. Oh, so that's what you can put in Taunt Mage. You can put in the Arcane Nullifier, you can put in the Sen'jin, and then he's going to just try to follow up with Burn. So Hoj seems to be following the theory of Freeze Mage, and then using a lot of taunts.
Whoa. A-bomb. That other taunt and death rattle minion. It's not just Sludge Belcher. We always forget
This
about
is
this
a
guy.
wildly creative creation by Hoj. I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out. With Mirror Entity and Unstable Portal, it looks to be more of a control mage with double Flame Strike, double, well, one Abomination.
Yeah, there's a lot of control cards, but
Yeah,
seems
speaking of
like
like quote unquote freeze mage, since you can't Alex draws them and you can't play Antonidas, I guess the it's not really plausible to build a freeze mage, but oh that's too bad.
it works with a deck. It's still a taunt. All right. Nosdormu providing that dragon hold synergy.
Nice, good job, Nosdormu. I
It's going to be
think
a
that's the
terrible
best we've seen
mirror
Nosdormu do this
yeah,
tournament so far.
so far. Yeah, this Mirati is going to tank really hard off this abusive, I'd imagine. I'm actually surprised to see that. If it was Mirati, wouldn't you want to keep your dude? I feel like if you wanted to play around Mirror Entity, you would abusive your guy, so your 3/5 can then attack into the abusive sergeant, and you'd keep an extra 1/1 on the board.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That probably was better.
Maybe not, considering Abomination is coming down, but I mean that would be pretty amazing to predict.
Yeah, I mean, so far from Caldi's perspective, he has no idea what type of mage this is. Now we see it, and is it a Death Rattle mage? No, we've already
No.
seen Death Rattle Hunter, so it must be a Taunt mage. That's weird.
That's true. The keywords that the decks have to be built around are exclusive. You cannot have like three Death Rattle decks. Actually, I think if that was the case, you might actually see three Death Rattle decks from most of the players.
Yeah, that would be pretty strong. Or if you could run the same class, you could. So you have to do both three different classes and three different keywords. It
Hmm.
might have been interesting to pull off. Like you could do Death Rattle Paladin, Battlecry Paladin, and hey, even Divine Shield Paladin while you're at it. Triple Paladin.
I think I like the Death Lord here over the Abomination number two. You're just really low on health. Like really, really low on health.
Wow, he lost health like way faster than I expected when a Taunt mage.
Yeah. Well, he got a bit crushed in the opener. His mirror entity got totally owned. He went second, so he's at the tempo disadvantage, and that usually results in you losing some health until you can stabilize. But
Right, it
me,
also occurs to me that those mirror entities can't even be gotten with mad scientists, so that's a strangely weak card I'm going to say to put in your deck because we
mhm.
play a lot of arena, and even in arena, mirror entity isn't that great. Usually, the big draw is to get it out with mad scientist, but because this is a taunt deck, you cannot put in mad scientist.
Yeah. All right. Well, if Caldy has a silence and he draws it, he's going to win the game right here and now. Nope.
All right, well, here comes a series of flame strikes, but that's not going to be enough to burn off the Doctor Boom.
No. There might be like a draw here that pulls him out, though. Um, Perhaps like a Frostbolt, so he can Frostbolt A-bomb, maybe? Hmm. I don't
All
even
right,
know what this
let's see
can
what's in the front.
produce. I don't know.
So we're looking for something that is 8 or less.
That's not
That's
not
not
that
going to do
one.
it.
No. All right. Well, man, these games are very very swingy. It seems like these decks are just having a few consistency issues, and when one deck kind of struggles, the other deck just absolutely dominates. So yeah, very very dominating games for sure.
Yeah, I would say at this point, whoever has the more consistent decks, which are just good, are going to just win. So I think to that point, Zillet has a very, very good chance from yesterday
Mm.
because his three decks all seemed very solid. We were like, okay, in Conquest, there's one deck that might be weak. In this case, I would say it's Hoge's Mage for sure because I don't, I still can't really tell what that deck was meant to do, and it is running a few weak cards such as Mirror Entity.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't even think it's that it seems like a pretty weak deck. I mean, yeah, it seems like a pretty weak deck, but when you compare it to like the Taunt Druid, it just seems like it doesn't really offer any advantage.
All right, but we do have Hoge bringing back his the most popular deck, it appears, and Kaldi is running the more traditional Taunt Druid. Looks like Kaldi is another person then who went with what I thought would be the most standard lineup of Taunt, Death Rattle, and Battle Cry in those three
Oh,
classes.
the ramp is real. How about that?
Wow, man, just to also play a 2-drop while he's at it.
Yep, when you play Nourish to gain the mana crystals, it's not like Wild Growth. You get the 2 mana crystals right away.
Yep, Kaldi is kind of going to be playing from an Astral Communion style right now since his hand has basically only 2 cards left in it.
I think that's okay though. The Wrath can redraw. I mean, Wrathing for one is just kind of going to work against the Death Rattle Hunter. There's always going to be that garbage that you can get rid of. I think here Hoge just has 2 Animal Companion. I mean, all 3 Animal Companions are great, so I don't really know why he's hesitating. Are they not?
Getting the hover is a little bit of a bummer. You have to send it into the 2/3.
Yeah.
And then he has to make a tough choice on whether or not to get the secret. Doesn't look like that would be too good if it were freezing.
Yeah. Oh, it's not freezing.
Okay.
Wow, look at that. That worked out perfectly.
Yeah, that probably means that Hoj isn't running freezing if he sent that in with that much confidence. Because
Mm.
otherwise he risks freezing a 2/1.
All right. Well, I think with this line of play, your idea was, oh, really? Okay. So what do you do here? Do you play around swipe by sending in the leopard now? Hmm.
I don't think so because the 3/5 and the 1+4 looks like it would work well. And then you would not have that much to swipe.
That innervate draw is really nice. It allows you to finish off the 4/4 if you want. It looks like he doesn't go for it though.
Yeah, better to get out on this Dormu. That's basically like +7 mana almost.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, looks like Hoj is just going to try to get the most value out of trading as he possibly can.
Yep. You had the possibility of going Creeper into Feign Death to create a lot of spiders. That would probably be a bit too many, especially against Swipe. Well, Starfall would have been really bad against that as well.
I think Starfall is just a play here instead of Nozdormu, actually. You can do a Wrath for one and then attack into the Belcher and then Starfall.
Yeah, I like that. That's a surprise. You Wrath the Misha. Wrathing the Sledge Vulture would have allowed for a clear.
I guess he's just not planning on Starfalling his turn then. He's committed to that right away.
That was kind of dangerous because you didn't actually know. You would be committed to playing whatever you drew.
Yeah, but that's a pretty wide range, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's 7 or less. It might not even be a risk. There might just not be any cards with 7 or more mana in the deck, to be
that's
fair.
true.
All
Okay,
right.
we got a potential for some real Feign Death value. An Ooze, a Secret, and 2/1/1s.
Oh, nope. No, we
Not good
want to
enough?
extend that a little bit. Have we seen like super big death rattle creatures from Hoj besides the high main though? I wonder.
I know one side had the
The piloted Skygul, that was on Kaldi's
yeah.
side, I believe.
Okay.
So I'm kind of curious what he's waiting for with the Feign Death. The most powerful combos of Feign Death are obviously Sylvanas and Sneeds, but like I don't know if those are in the deck with two explosive traps.
Well, and death is now a dead card.
Wow, and there was no other trap trigger. Was
Wait,
there?
there's a secret out there. Was there one out there before?
I don't I don't I don't think the snake trap actually triggered. The sludge belcher is undamaged, right? So that would mean that he's running
Oh,
either two
right.
secrets or two snake traps.
Yeah, makes sense. So two snake and a yeah.
Okay.
All right. Got to go fast from here on out.
Oh man. Feign Death value is dwindling. Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty
well,
good though.
yep. Gotta go. Gotta go.
Did he make it? You need some
Tough with the
pretty
sludge
quick
belcher.
actions here.
Oh, okay.
Nope, 4 damage
Wonder if
gone.
that gave Caldi a
Now
little less
Storm
time.
producing value. And another Belcher to slow things down.
You can see
Hilarious.
Caldi's like panic as he fumbles for those cards. They move a little bit. Gets it off. Gets the attack off. Good enough. Oh, that's a good one.
No way. No way. It's not happening. Oh, no, Storm was going to crush
Oh my
him.
god.
Nope. Oh, here comes a swipe. Let's swipe it. Ah, Fen Creeper.
Oh, Fen Creeper. That seems like a weak card to put in your deck.
It's pretty bad. I always go back to Arena when people ask about Fen Creeper. I think Fen Creeper is better than Sludge Belcher like 1 out of 4 times in Arena. Just because it doesn't get pinged. It needs 5 damage and like a ping.
I've heard some legend that if you have like more Nosdurmus, it goes faster. Nah, it looks like it's still
Yeah.
the same time.
It just fills up the screen with more dust. Maybe it
Right.
makes it seem like things are going faster. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I think I saw Caldi win through the dust there.
Hosh gets totally wrecked by Dustorm. Well, I'm glad to finally see this happen. I knew there was a reason Nozdorma was in every single deck in every GEICO Brawl so far. Now we know why, guys, because sometimes that timing makes a pretty big difference. All right, guys. So Caldi does pull through from the opening matches. He will face off against either Amaz or Strifecrow, which will be our next match. It will be our final game out of the first round. So we would have explored all the creations of the players with these crazy Geico Brawl rules. That will be coming up in just a few minutes. We will be taking a break, get the players set up. Again, because it is a live event, sometimes it might take a little bit longer than other times. So on the break, if you guys want to check out, if you guys want to enter the raffle, you guys can go to geico.onog.gg and perhaps win your very own TSM PC. So why don't you guys check that out in the break, and we'll see you guys in just a few minutes. back, guys. Welcome back to the Summer Circuit GEICO Brawl number 2. We're about to see the last few players here. We have not seen Strifecrow or Amaz play, so let's just quickly analyze their decks here. Again, both players the Hunter, both players the Paladin. I mean, you favored Paladin after your deck building session yourself. You had your own trial run, so we're starting to see a lot of Paladin. Hunter just seems like an obvious choice with the Death Rattle, but it seems you were really onto something with the Paladin Battlecry deck. So, what about these like third decks from these players? Like, are we gonna see like a Taunt Priest and a Taunt Rogue? Like, what is this?
Yeah, man, this is something different. We haven't seen Priest yet, and of course, Amaz would be the one to bring it, and we haven't seen Rogue yet. One of the possibilities for rogues includes, well, you've seen like two major types of rogues. Maybe he's taking a page off of Hoge's thought of view, where you can run whatever spells you want. So maybe there's going to be some kind of Gadget Sand Miracle, or maybe it's just
Hmm.
Oil
No
Rogue with
Gadgetson.
Charge, perhaps.
It can't be Gadgetson because it's not legal, right?
Oh, that's
That's
right. Gadget Sand doesn't have anything, but there's the Oil Rogue. When you only have 15 minutes, you kind of have to like go off of what you know to some extent, and it's
hmm
like, oh yeah, I can use whatever spells I want. Oil Rogue does use a lot of spells, so perhaps I just stack that on, especially with the weapons, which anyone can do. So maybe Battlecry Rogue, and then you put in the Barber guy and the
Yeah.
Assassin's Blade, and then you put in the oil, and then you put in the Blade Flurry, you put in the Deadly Poison, uh,
It could
whack
be
him
like
with 30.
maybe a charging rogue as well. Maybe a stealth rogue.
Yep. Stealth
Stack
Rogue.
the
Ogre Ninja is a thing. That
yeah.
was an oil rogue for a moment.
I don't really know how to work with priest though. I feel like maybe there's more to these decks than we realize here. I just don't see a taunt priest actually winning.
Could be a
Like,
Battlecry Priest since that could use the dragon stuff.
hmm
Just put in all the dragon synergy.
well, could be. Certainly very exciting to see these players bring it out. I do have to wonder because now that we've seen 6 players play several times, in fact, already. As you know, we already have our first finalist from yesterday's rounds. Zele ended up advancing. Um, I mean, it seems like just a few decks have a really high consistency, and most of the wild stuff has tanked so far. So even though I'm
That's
excited
true.
to see like what these players have brought, I'm also a bit worried for them.
Yeah, I wonder if it's gonna be a both of the remaining decks end up being like the one that hold them back, since at this point Paladin and Hunter are both kind of proven champions, and
hmm
it's up to these newcomers. But I look forward to seeing what they've decided to do. There are like all sorts of interesting spells on both sides.
hmm All right. Well, we are still waiting for our players a little bit. Um, Again, it's a live event, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get it started. All right. Actually, give me 1 second here.
Yep, the one that we're waiting for currently is Strevcrow, and if he doesn't show, then Amaz might just get the free win here.
That really
We're gonna give him a
sucks.
few moments.
I want to see this rogue deck.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's quite a bit of exploration you can do here. It's just been like it's just been kind of punished. If you relate this to just a normal tournament format where you have to play Conquest and the meta decks are so well established that you so rarely see people bring just like a first time really powerful deck that you've never seen before. And it was something that, you know, a year, maybe a year plus ago, it was fairly commonplace. It actually was kind of like the special ingredient that some players really used to take down the tournaments in the past. But yeah, the innovation has been punished in this tournament, just as it has in most these days, at least.
yep. I'm ready to get punished when TGT comes out. I think that I'm willing to risk it all and then just try out something that I think will be strong.
All right. What are you excited about? Like, what's the first deck you're gonna make when you get your hands on the TGT collection, which I'm sure is gonna be right away as you're gonna open a bunch of packs.
Um, like the thing that I think is most buffed is certainly Shaman. It's got a lot of strong cards. Strifecrow actually rated it very highly and watched his ratings.
Hmm.
He thinks that Thunder Bluff Valiant and Totem Golem and Tuskar Totemic are all really strong cards, and those I agree with him. Those look like they're just gonna fit into the mid-range shaman. And when you can like replace six of your weaker cards with six better cards, that does go a long way to helping you out.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
not all you can do because shaman do inspire pretty well with the totems. They're kind of like paladin in that respect. So you can play a few of those better inspire cards, which summon guys. Maybe you're gonna have the 3/3 summon 1/1s in the shaman, then shaman can be both shaman and paladin.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It does seem like these cards are pretty good, but also from what I've seen, the only thing that discourages people to continue playing Grimpation Warrior is Chill Maw. And don't you think Grimpation Warrior just walk over mid-range Shaman regardless of the card
I
quality?
think there's two main things that I'm hopeful for that I think will get Grim Patron, even though there may not be any nerfs. And this is going to be interesting because Grim Patron was weak against mages, especially Control Mage. So
Hmm.
I think that the chance of Inspire Mage coming in here is not insignificant. And even if like Inspire Control Mage doesn't work out, Control Mage did get some tools as well with cards like Effigy and with
Mm.
Ronin, so that might boost up their power level enough that Control Mage comes in. Like even Frost Giant has an outside chance of working, I'd say, since you can Fire Blast a lot, and then maybe you go Echo, or sorry, you go Frost Giant for like very cheap, and then you Echo, and then they still stay at zero, and then you don't really need to run the Moltons. That's a possibility.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. It just feels like these decks have to be fine-tuned so well. They have to be so refined to actually work that
Right, probably the
it makes
second
it
thing.
take some time for this to develop, right?
Yeah, the second thing is that mid-range shaman actually might do well against patron. It's just something that hasn't been explored very much because mid-range shaman is generally weak. But similar to flame strike, lightning storm with just one spell damage can clear all the patrons out. So that makes it a lot like control mage in my mind.
Okay, okay. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll get an update for you guys in just a moment, how this will be progressing. Again, right now we are just waiting on Strife Crew to show up, and if he doesn't, Amaz will get the free win, and we will never find out what was in that rogue deck. Unfortunately, what a sad day. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean we can kind of look at the notes. Let's see if Strife Crow
Spoilers.
doesn't. Okay, looks like they are giving Amaz the win, so guess it's time to reveal what Strife Crow's deck was. Uh, looks like he was running a spell power rogue. What a shame that we're not going to be able to see that.
Yeah. Spell Power Rogue and Divine Shield Paladin. There's no Battlecry deck.
Wow, no taunt either. So Strife Crow was actually running two of the more interesting ones with spell power rogue and divine shield paladin. Um,
Yeah. All right.
yeah, it looks like he was focusing a lot on oil for the rogue and for paladin divine shield. There's a lot of good divine shield cards. We haven't seen Tyrion be played yet, so that would be one of the few decks which could run Tyrion.
Yeah, I think all the paladins so far have been Battlecry paladins, have they not? No, there was one that was different. There was one that wasn't. I think maybe it was a taunt. I guess if it wasn't a Battlecry, it had to be a taunt. Yeah. Anyway, as far as the tournament is concerned, we will be seeing our semifinal here. It is going to be Caldi, who had just defeated Hoj, and Amaz, who had, I guess, defeated Strife Crow on the no-show technicality. I guess that's the way to do it. You know, keep your decks secret.
Oops, there goes my favorite to win the tournament.
Oh, well, it's a crappy way to go, but I mean it does happen. So unfortunately, we will not be seeing anything from Strife Crow. As far as the Amaz Kaldi match, I think they are just about ready. In terms of this matchup, again we have the double hunter, again we have the double paladin, and then we have the priest versus the druid, which I kind of have to favor the priest regardless of what it ends up being, just because I think a lot of this plays out in a very similar fashion as arena, where the druid plays big stuff and then the priest takes the big stuff. Uh,
You think there's going to be two mind control in that deck grip?
I think it's entirely possible. I think even one is just soul crushing because it's not that you are killing a big creature and playing a big creature. It's that Druid just has absolutely no way to deal with big creatures still. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
just one is good enough. I you're right. I don't think there are two mind controls. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it seems like all the ramp stuff doesn't really work against Priest unless you can push for enough damage for a combo to actually finish the Priest off. Like just playing big taunts is not really good enough against the Priest. They're too easily removed.
Yeah, you make a good point. Part of the priest power is if you tech it against later game cards, especially against Taunt Druid. The Taunt Druid, just naturally because of the cards having Taunt, they have less attack to balance out that they have Taunt. So the priest gets a lot of time and then manages to mind control the Ancient of War, or they just Shadow Word Death the Ancient of War, which is a 4 mana
Hmm.
swing. So that's something that could happen. But the thing about priest is it can go in two major directions. One is you focus against control like that. The other is if you foresaw having a lot of face hunters or face hunter or zoo, then you could build something that was more anti-aggro, which actually turns out to weaken its matchup against druid. So it all depends on how Maz chose to build priest.
I actually think it doesn't really weaken the matchup that much if it's teched against Zoo because if the Druid is a taunt Druid, we see it. Cards like Shadow Madness, they just work against the mid-range taunts very well.
Okay, here we go. Maz bringing in the priest first. He's got a control card in Shadow Madness, and he is using the Battle Cry. With the Hungry Dragon, it looks like he's going to be counting on cards with Battle Cry synergy. So Technician works, Corruptor works.
Hmm. And the dragons are like the big cards of the bunch. On the flip side, we see Caldi, while Hunter is going to have some trouble pushing for damage against the priest in this format because it's not quite as refined of a deck. But at the same time, he might do pretty well in the late game with those Hunter's marks. If Amaz spends like a whole turn playing a dragon and it gets tempoed out by like an Unleash Hunter's mark, it'll be like the swing turn of the game.
Yep, Kaldi only kept Eaglehorn Bow, which is a little bit of a surprise because he usually in constructed at least you would try to keep a early game card. Kaldi draws into Leper Gnome, which is big. Amaz is running Twilight Whelp. I think that's the
Oh
first time I've
man.
seen that. Very cool. He does have the dragon synergy, so he's gonna get a 1 mana 2/3.
Yeah, and it's probably gonna die to quick shot here, I'd imagine. And there it goes. Yeah. So with playing a battle cry type of deck, with playing big minions, which we can see already, um, I'd actually imagine that Amaz does not have the spells to remove big minions. I think the idea of this deck is you challenge the early minions with spells, and you challenge their big minions with your big minions.
Makes sense. He is running Shadow Word Pain, which is aimed at the earlier game. We did see him have Shadow Madness earlier, so that Recombobulator looks to be some kind of combo with the Shadow Madness. Steal it and then turn it into your side before it returns to the other side.
Yeah. I don't know how many targets is actually going to hit from Caldi. I yeah, Caldi is running the Belcher, so he does have one of the best targets in the game for it. In fact, we'll have to see if he gets the opportunity to make that kind of play. Now the Mechanical Yeti, I don't know if we've seen that in another deck yet. It's mostly been just the power cards rather than the solid bodies.
Yeah. Cabal Shadow Priest will be really good against Hunter if he gets to turn 6. Kaldi is holding back that bow. Hasn't attacked with it twice yet. Twice already, rather.
Hmm. Oh, this could be really dangerous. This is a
Wow, it's
huge
risking trying to get
risk.
better than a 4-4. Gets a 2-4.
Oh, completely destroyed. Oh my God. Wow, you have to be regretting that. It is important to have creature quantity, so you don't just get tempoed out and take repetitive damage from just a few creatures. But
Yeah,
I
that's rough.
I don't know if it was worth it to take a risk that big that early.
I think given Maz's hand, he had to play a card. Otherwise, he was just going to skip turn 4. And if you skip turn 4 against a hunter, even though it might be a slower hunter, you can see that pressure is building up a lot. Kaldi's already swinging in for 9 each turn, and next turn he's going to swing in for 15, potentially. But Kaldi doesn't go for the face. Just clears off Maz's board. Now he's got 10. Oh
Oh,
my gosh, King
fuck.
Crush.
How do you
Well,
stop that? This is over. Collie's gonna totally walk over Maz here. There's like no way he stops this.
oh, too bad. Maz almost got the Shrinkmeister Cabal Shadow Priest. Well, when I say almost, he needed like another 2 turns, but that would have been something.
Yeah, it would have been pretty cool. All right, well, it looks like he'll have to Animal Companion, so if we do see a Leok, there might be a bit of a swing with that Cabal Shadow Priest. But of course, we see the other type of swing, the Merciless Huffer
Yeah,
sees
good on
play.
Kaldi holding that bow. He managed to clear 2 minions instead of doing extra damage, and in this case, clearing the minions is a lot more important since it looks like Kaldi's minions can just keep doing that repetitive damage.
I don't really like the taunt spear part on something that can be Cabal though, but actually, is it too much? Yeah, is it too much? It is too much. If Cabal does pick up that taunt creature, he loses the game. But he has no choice. This is Amaz's only play here.
Yep. We see Alex Straza and Nefarian in Amaz's deck, and of course we know Nosdorm is in it. So Amaz's deck is really, really high end. So it couldn't hold up against this faster Hunter deck. I mean, the Hunter deck isn't that fast, but the Priest deck is so slow that the Hunter deck seemed really fast. Hopefully, this isn't going
Oh
to be
my God.
Amaz's like 0-3 deck, because it could possibly be if he continues to draw like 4 or 7 plus cards.
That might be about as wrecked as I've ever seen Amaz yet. I mean, he really had to try to make something work in the early game, but Collie just had every single answer. Nothing RNG wise went his way. Even the hopper. Oh man. Oh man. Like you have to think about how, he's playing a priest deck with all these defensive spells. And I think he lost that game on turn 7. And Caldi had an additional like 8 damage or 7 damage overkill with the kill command, followed up by a King Crush. Like if Amaz started that game with 60 health, he would have died the following turn.
Yeah. All right, we see Amaz with yet another big hand, 7 drop, 6 drop, 5 drop. Gets rid of the 2 drop, which is a little bit of a surprise. Recombobulator.
Hmm.
Gets it back. Well, good news. He starts with the Twilight Whelp and the Dragon.
Yeah, that
Speaking of
is
which,
pretty
that
good.
was about as good as like Amaz could have hoped to get against a Hunter too. Like to have the Twilight Whelp and the Dragon.
Right. And to go first.
All right, this looks kind of solid from Amaz.
It does, but you have to keep in mind that Recombobulator can punish when cast on a 1/1 creature. I actually don't even play it. There we go. There we go. We don't want to play that Recombobulator. That can only get us into trouble right now.
Yep, no board clears from Amaz yet. We didn't see any Holy Novas or any light bombs from last game, but I anticipate it's there.
Ooh,
Wow,
Panda.
Youthful Brewmaster. Looks like Amaz is really trying to get the maximum value out of Shadow Madness, which I would
Hmm.
expect him to be running 2 copies of.
Um,
Or maybe just
okay.
Battle Cries with the Panda. That's a sub theme in the deck.
I like the play replay here. I was
Yep,
actually
I like
thinking
it.
about healing the whelp just to challenge the board, but this is quite a bit better. Even though it'll probably get punished by consecrate here, I mean, you used up your opponent's consecrate, and he did not develop the board on turn 4. So you're still pretty happy about the situation, even though you were countered a little bit.
Right. Those Dharma. Okay. That's the 4 drop. The Amaz does have a very strong 5 drop coming up.
Yeah, he does, but oh my God.
Ooh, I'd be a little bit surprised by the use of the equality this quickly against a Maz who seemed to be running a very slow deck. Possibly could have gotten more value, but Kaldi is just pushing the tempo here.
I'm surprised to see the 2/4 come down, as Amaz still has the coin.
Oh, that's
Make
true. Could get a coin Cabal Shadow Priest, and that looks
right,
like it would really swing it around.
right. Like he'd have almost no answer to that.
The other plays Kaldi could have done would be just make a guy or make a guy and abusive, which abusive is a little scary because of the Holy Nova possibility.
I like the abusive Lothib here. Oh, he does go for that. Very nice. Even though you have the double True Silver, there's still no rush to use it. Just pushing for a board lead is really the damage you need. You know you're probably not going to get cleared out here because of the Lothib draw, and you're going to push for so much damage. And then the True Silvers are just damage that's almost impossible to prevent. Now I say almost impossible because Amaz is playing a Battle Cry deck, so I mean it's certainly possible with oozes.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of the better results that Amaz could have gotten. Worth mentioning is seeing that abusive sergeant, seeing 2 of them, that would make BGH or maybe even double BGH from Kaldi even more likely. And that's going to be rough
Right.
because Amaz has Nosdurmu and Alexstrasza.
Yeah, I think this is just a turn where you go face and you peacekeep the play here, and you have to see just how sad it is when the peacekeeper comes down on your 4 drop, which you had to play entirely in turns. Oh, actually, wow, what?
That's a surprise.
They're just going all out for it. Okay, okay. Well, there's no punish,
Yeah,
so I guess
Kaldi
that's it.
possibly predicting the light bomb, and if you think light bomb, then it's like okay, well, Aldor would only buff his Hungry Dragon then because it takes less
Hmm.
damage.
Looks like it's going to be the anti-Keelbot. Um, wow, that's a good result. Um, I
Yeah.
was actually thinking that you'd consider recombobulating the anti-Keelbot for possibly a better result, but I mean, it certainly turned out in his favor here.
All right, Kaldi with 11 damage.
Yeah, but Amaz might actually come back now that I think about it. He has the coin Alistraza if Caldi just goes all out face here. I
That's
think
right,
if
and Alex
Cal
Strauss is not something on anyone's mind, I imagine.
uh, yeah, I don't think it's too out there. Actually, yeah, the more I look at it, it seems like Amaz absolutely has a comeback here.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to remove all of Kaldi's stuff, so I think it might be a little close.
Hmm. Okay. Um, I think we might see a bit of a board control turn here. Whoa. Okay. All right. Well,
Wow, this
Alistraza's
is
gonna
quite a
have to
play.
come down.
Kaldi didn't make a guy, right? I guess this plays around Holy Nova a bit better, having a 2-3 instead of a 1-1, but he's rapidly getting out of steam.
Mm-hmm.
No play
Mm,
other than coin Alex Strauss here, I believe, unless he can actually clear the board of Shadow Menace.
no, no. You have
Or
two
nothing.
great trades here: the 3/2 into the 3/3, the 3/3 into the 2/3, and then Alistraza yourself. I mean, you're only facing 6 damage on the board, so it seems like an extremely powerful play here.
Right.
And the Alistraza threatens the board so much that Caldi might have to shift from pushing for lethal to staying alive.
I think if you shift right now, you guaranteed lose, so I expect to see all face. Uh, maybe you kill the 3-1, yeah. But other than that, and this is gonna look really good for Amaz.
Yeah, he does have the Shadow Madness. The Shadow Madness isn't fantastic, but it does help you from not losing, I believe.
Yep, and it seems like he's obligated to heal himself here.
Yeah, he'll
There's
be
not
at
many
2 life.
battle cries that deal damage, so if he manages to nearly clear the board and
Well, there might be like kings, there might be consecrate. I think we've seen both abusives, but I wouldn't put it past them to have a dark iron as well.
all right, Amaz is 2 damage off here. The consecration is probably the most likely card
Hmm.
that would kill Amaz. Oh, that's
Oh God.
almost there. The problem is, since he can't do it this turn, Maz will heal out of the 3 damage range next turn.
Yeah, and there's no dragon that I know of that does damage instantaneously. It's really tricky here.
Huh. Yeah, I think you might
Okay.
just play it when you really when you know your deck and you're like, okay, I'm a paladin. I'm playing a Balakrai deck. I don't actually have any damage. Uh, Maz can just heal out of range. I guess that's the best way to fight. Then try to get 2 attacks in with Corruptor.
I was gonna try to fish for a Holy Nova here. That is the card he needs. That's not great, but it's not bad. He can clear the board, and he's at 8 life. That's probably good enough to stabilize against the Paladin.
Yeah, doesn't even need to use that Shadow Word Pain. Looks like this is going to be a stabilized game, even though it's as low as this. I don't expect Kelly to have that much burst, if any.
Had Caldi have drawn Muster for battle last turn, I think that would have been enough for lethal this turn.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's still a lot of cards on the other side. Maybe it's not a stabilized situation. In fact, he's gonna have to recombobulate or something fairly effective here. I think in terms of 5 drops, there's at least 3 taunts that come to mind. So I think it's probably better to recombobulate your 5 drop than your 3 drop.
Yeah, I agree with that. And oh,
Oh, I wasn't
that's
thinking about
really
that one.
good.
That's number 4. Yep. I think that is it. I think that is exactly what Amaz needed to stabilize. Without that, he was still a little bit at risk.
Yeah, he's gonna find enough time to play Nefarian now, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. But if he plays Nefarian and doesn't get anything good and gets like BGH'd, it's suddenly like the opposite thing again.
Oh, looks like one of the posters behind Amos is just shuffled off due to the tension in this match.
Okay.
Oh, that's something you can
Yeah,
cast. That's actually
yeah.
very helpful.
It is very helpful indeed. It allows you to push for more board control. If there was like a BGH top, oh my god, that is that is
Wow,
not very
Amos
lucky for
manages to find a win with this priest deck.
Oh, and adjust the poster. Yep, there it is. There it is.
Hmm.
All right. Well, that was indeed pretty spectacular. Caldi was, almost there, really, really close to sealing out the game. But the coin from Amaz, the anti-kill off from Amaz, surprisingly actually kept him in the game and ended up with a victory. I have to say though that even though Amaz won, it seems like um, that deck will have some issues against faster decks. Um, there's just very little stopping power. Like we didn't see any light bombs, we didn't see any holy novas. So it's just so hard to come back on the board if you start losing.
Right. It's Just that Caldi had too gentle a board, like not enough
That
sharp objects.
Dark Iron and Consecrate, the first two cards in your next mulligan. What a tease.
Man, with one Dark Iron Dwarf and two Abusives, I'd actually be rather surprised if Caldi. We haven't seen the BGH from him,
No, we have not.
uh, but
Oh,
that almost
another
seems
Dark
like the
Iron
type of deck
Dwarf.
you would run two BGH with.
It almost does, you're right. It's just that, again, it's something I was mentioning that it's hard to fit in like the BGH synergy, the buff synergy, all the regular good paladin cards, and enough dragons to make it work. So you have to cut back on something, and unfortunately, it might be that BGH. But against the hunter, that might be a fortunate situation rather than an unfortunate one.
Yep, Maz bringing back the Harvest Golem. So it looks like a very, well, a slower controlling or hunter here.
Yep, I like the True Silver play because it sets up a nice consecrate. Amaz checking the posters. Very, very important. All right. We'll see the double Haunted Creeper. We'll see the Mad Scientist. I like the double Haunted Creeper a lot more. I wouldn't even mind the Hero Power. I think the other Mad Scientist is really a bad idea, though.
Just to play around Consecration more. Oh,
Those
now the other
posters.
poster.
Never lucky. All right. Yeah, the Consecrate does come down. Well, again, it's a good Consecrate, but Amaz is still winning, and he does have some pretty high quality cards, so he's really in fine shape.
Yeah, though the Paladin does have the perfect counter to Savannah Hymen, the Elder Peacekeeper.
Hmm, he does, but what do you do this turn? This is like a bad turn here.
I think it's easy. You play the 5/5. That's not bad.
Is it? I was considering equality and then muster.
Um, I don't think the Sludge Belcher threatens you quickly enough to warrant that.
Okay.
Oh, what is he? Oh, he's casting Elder Peacekeeper
Peacekeeper.
#1, or thinking about it. I just think it's so clear to play the Dragon Consort since that. Well, okay, it's not that clear because there is a trap from a Moss. That's the big difference because you can't
Yeah.
attack with Dragon Consort is a big thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think I was about to be convinced that Elder Peacekeeper would have been better there.
Okay. Well, Alder Peacekeeper is certainly better now. Maybe even both of them. Actually, for sure, both of
Yeah.
them.
It's that or Aldor and Muster. Muster is a bit weak to the doggies, but you have a good chance of being able to get the freezing trap with something cheap then, if there isn't doggies.
What happened there? Did I miss something?
On why you hit the sludge?
Yeah.
Um,
That's
that's a
so
lot
much
of damage.
damage. Is that lethal? That's lethal. That's kill command lethal. Holy cow. Kali just got blown out by Hunter.
Oof.
Wow. Well, to be fair, the animal companion there was lethal with Huffer or Leok. So it was a 66% chance to lethal. Not outrageously lucky, just slightly favorable. And does get the win. And Amaz is ahead here. Now we've seen the battle cry deck with the priest. We've seen the death rattle deck with the hunter. Now we're going to see something else with paladin, and this is again where we're going to see possibly an experiment not go quite according to plan.
Oh, that's right. You can't play Battlecry in this deck, and it's actually going to be Divine Shield. Whoa, I'm also running Divine Favor, so the Divine Favor is really telling about what this deck is. It's probably going to be some kind of a very, very aggressive deck.
Hmm. The divine shield approach I think works pretty well. Just maybe not that well in the mirror. If Caldi gets something like a muster, it's going to be really crushing for Maz.
Speeds out the Annoyatron there. Looks like that almost commits Amaz to pushing the hero power next turn, but it does guarantee the good trade against the abusive.
Mm-hmm. He guarantees several good trades here, actually. He guarantees the next turn that he gets a good trade as well. Okay, well, the dragon pickup makes it so he has a much more formidable creature. But with the Scarlet Crusader and the Kings, it seems like Amaz is going to be in terrific shape here. Having
Yeah,
a
this is
huge
interesting.
divine creature, divine shield creature is very powerful unless it gets peacekeeped, which I mean we know it won't.
Yeah, Amal is really pulling out the maximum synergy with Divine Shield here because it turns out the Divine Shield cards get a lot better when you put a buff card on them.
Hmm. All right. Oh, that's an amazing draw. That
That's
has to
really
be
good.
better than Kings. I'm just hoping that he sees it.
I don't think it's necessarily better. If you Kings the 1/1 and then you send it into the 3/4, then
Yeah,
you have a decent board of which both don't get True Silver that well.
yeah, but it gets owned by Consecrate. It gets owned by the Blackman Corruptor,
Hmm.
and now the Blackman Corruptor actually gets owned by your True Silver.
Yeah, and this might be a good time for Kings too, since you get it out of range of the
Again,
4/1.
I think you really want to push Kings on a creature with Divine Shield. It's just so much stronger. So I prefer this line of play from Amaz. Just fill up the board, have as many Divine creatures as possible. It makes it so that those Divine creatures are probably the last ones that are going to be killed.
Yeah.
And now Kings is an absolute murder here. Like, look at this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a huge deal. Or even just Argent Commander. That trades perfectly in as well.
I think Argent Commander has a real risk of starting to lose the game to something like Muster or even just maybe Consecrate. I don't really like the Argent Commander as much. I think the King's play or even just the Blessing of Might play is better. I prefer the King's play though. They like Kings and Avenge and maybe even a Blessing of Might on another creature.
Yeah, here's another interesting play. You do Blessing of Might, Avenge, and you Divine Favor because you're trying to cash in and your other two cards are pretty heavy.
Yeah, I really like that idea too. But you have to also consider that it might be hard for this deck to get traction on the board after it's lost it. And he's probably thinking about that right now.
Right, because the risk of the Might without anything is that you just lose everything to Consecration. So
Right.
Amaz is going to just go for a very kind of the maximum power you can get. And also
Hmm.
manages to dump a lot of cards to hopefully play his next card and then Divine Favor.
Well, it's hard not to boom, but oh man, that's almost lethal right now. I think you
Well,
just
that's
go
a
for it.
good draw. Yeah, you play it with the charge, you go face, and then you have the Divine Favor to back yourself up.
Yep. Well, the anti-Keelblight is going to help, but is it really enough? It might be. I mean, those boom bots might be magical boom bots. Okay, you want an avenge on like a garbage creature that's gonna die. Oh, not on that. Oh.
Ooh, that's rough.
Oh man. You might even want to equality after killing like the 4/3 with Dr. Boom. So your boom bot kills the 5/1. Yeah, I think that's the play. I think the Dr. Boom into 4/3, equality, boom bot into 5/1, and then anti-keel bot.
Wait, you mean the 5/5, right? Why wouldn't he kill the 5/5 instead?
Because he's gonna equality. He wants to take. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, actually.
Oh, right, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Those are terrible boom bots. All right. Well, 3 card Divine Favor. He's not looking for too much more damage. Oh, that's it. That has to be it, right? For. Oh, no, not quite. Not quite. Very, very close. Very, very
Right.
close, but not quite. Wow, I'm really surprised to see him not go for the damage hit.
For the damage hit? What do you mean by that?
The Blessing of Might.
Oh, I see. Well, you kind of wanted to use the 1/1 against the 7/1, and if you put it on the Argent Commander, you get BGH'd. Like Amaz saw too abusive, so he's gotta assume
Hmm.
that BGH is being run.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we both assumed that, but it doesn't seem to be the case. All right. Well, you really have no other option. I mean, you have to expect your opponent has one damage. Just peacekeeping the 4/1 Divine Shield is not really good enough here.
Picks up Taunt Givers, so he might be able to get away. He'd need something big and cheap to play with it, which I don't think exists.
All right. Amaz slowing down, doing some trades. Wow,
Queue up the
Nozdormu.
attacks, then play the Nosdurmoon. Quickly end turn. There we go.
Don't you want to like play Nozdormu and then queue up the attacks?
Oh,
Like
yes,
at
I
the end of
started
the
the prompt
timer?
work, didn't I?
Yeah. Okay, well the
Okay,
taunts
here
come
we go.
down.
Oh,
Or not.
what?
Oh, Nozdormu!
Dormu!
No!
Nosdormu!
I thought there was enough time for sure there. Oh, Maz has to be cracking up inside.
Well, he didn't know that Sun Fury Protectors even existed in that deck, probably. Well, no, he saw one earlier. But, yeah, well, okay. I'd actually say that that's a cool deck to have made it into the finals, actually. The Divine Shield Paladin.
Yeah, it is stronger than I had thought it would be. It certainly punishes these slower decks, but I don't know if it's going to work quite as well against Zele. Zele was playing some pretty solid decks, and I think they were generally a bit more aggressive than Kaldi's.
Right. If you can use a cheap card like Light's Justice or like a Creeper to break off a Divine Shield before it gets buffed, it becomes a lot less good.
Hmm.
So at this point, Amaz and Zale are going to be the ones in the finals, and we are going to be taking a 5 minute break for them to construct their deck, their fourth deck. That's going to be a pretty tough challenge to make the fourth best deck in 5 minutes, but I'm sure, given that this is day two, that they've given it some thought.
Yeah, it really feels like Amaz is just going to go for a taunt deck. It just seems the logical progression. I mean, he just faced Kaldi, who is playing more aggressive decks than I think he anticipated in the tournament, and he doesn't have that what we consider the third strong archetype. But for Zele, it's really going to be an experiment. I'm really hoping we're going to see some kind of stealth creation, and the fact that Zele, I believe, already has a paladin, does he not?
Yeah, he was playing Paladin Hunter Druid.
Yeah. So because he already has Paladin, he can't really go for the Divine Shield rep. So yeah, lots of stuff to think about. They don't have much time to do it, but they're gonna have to. Finals coming right up. It's gonna be best of seven with another deck tagged on the three. Stick with us, guys. We'll be back shortly. Hey guys, welcome back to the GEICO Brawl number 2. It is the clash of the keywords. We've reached the finals and we have two Archon bros. We got Amaz versus Zele. And we don't quite know their fourth deck creation yet, but let's talk about that. What would you expect from each of these players?
All right, like you said before the break, I think a Moz is really obvious. You bring the taunt druid. There's almost no question on that.
Hmm.
From Zale's perspective, it's really tough because you seem to have exhausted the three best decks. I mean, the three best classes and the three best mechanics,
Hmm.
keywords rather. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Zale comes up with. I can't even guess.
What would you go with if you have to? Like you have 5 minutes, you got to make a deck. Let's go.
Well, no, I wouldn't have only 5 minutes because I would have thought about it the entire day,
Okay, that's
like
true. That's
yesterday.
true. Yeah.
So I think if I only had 5 minutes, I would probably fail. Um, I would, I guess I would like, man, if I had 5 minutes, I don't even know. I'd make some kind of charging warlock deck, I guess.
Okay. Okay. I think I'd go with like
Burn them out.
I think I'd go with a stealth rogue. You got patient assassin, you got
Mm.
the ogre ninja, and you got like buffs and stuff. You got a lot of spells to fill up the gaps between the creatures.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Other than that though, yeah, I don't have much of an idea. Can you go maybe stealth priest. You just buff a creature infinitely and then you kill him with like a 60-60 shade at the end.
Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah. You can run some redundancy with the Stalker and the Shade, and then just Divine Spirit Inner Fire combo. I like that a lot.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, some options, certainly some tough ones though. Amaz has the easier option. If you guys hadn't seen our previous match, Amaz is running a Divine Shield Paladin, and he does not have the taunt keyword among his three decks. We are playing Clash of the Keywords. Each deck has to have all the creatures consistent with one of the keywords, something like Taunt, something like Divine Shield, something like Battle Cry, and they are exclusive, so you cannot have two decks with like Death Rattle theme, of course. And also the second rule, you must have Naz Dormu in your deck, so it gets a little bit of a speed bump with the Naz in there in some cases. So far, we've seen a lot of Death Rattle Hunter, just very aggressive stuff. We've seen generally a Battlecry Paladin, which has been overall very successful, especially for Zele. And Taunt Druid has been a pretty popular deck. I can't say the Taunt Druid has been particularly effective, but I don't think it's tanked as hard as some of the more experimental creations the other players have brought to the table.
Yeah, of the experimental creations, I think I was most impressed by Amaz's take on Paladin. Running all those Divine Shields,
Hmm.
Paladin turns out to have one of the best ones in Tyrion Fordring, as well as Shielded Minibot, and then having all the buffs. It just makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. And worked out probably the best out of all the oddball keywords that we've seen.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Okay.
Looks like we've just gotten word that Amaz is bringing a druid,
Well,
and
big news. Big
yeah,
news.
that's probably going to be a taunt druid, I predict.
Stealth Druid might be okay too. I think if I had to make a stealth deck, I would actually make it on Druid just because of the super combo possibilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zele doesn't have that option because he already has Druid. So yeah, it's tough on him. All right. Well, we're still waiting to see what Zele will be playing. Um, and then we'll get into our final. Again, it will be a best of seven, contrary to the prior games of the tournament that were best of five. This is why a fourth deck is there. And Shaman.
Oh, okay. Wait, Overload maybe has the mechanic on. No, the minions barely
So
have
few
Overload.
minions. Yeah, Overload's mostly
Earth
on
Elemental is the
creatures.
only one. No, Fireguard Destroyer also.
All right. Well, what keywords are there? There's charge. You can play charge with reincarnates for like super combos and like wind fury spells.
Yeah.
You can play stealth.
Wind
Uh,
Fury is one. You can
yeah.
run the. That seems bad though.
Hmm. Well, you have to keep in mind that the keywords has to be on the card themselves. So if he was playing a Wind Fury type of deck, he wouldn't be able to run a card like Wind Speaker because the Wind Speaker is a battle cry creature alone, not just he's not a Wind Fury creature because he gives Wind Fury to something else.
Not to mention that would be a really terrible addition to a Wind Fury deck to
Yes, it would.
put the Wind Speaker in it.
Yes, it would. Um, all right. Well, the players will be heading in when they are ready. But man, this shaman sounds like a real oddball, and it being a conquest format, uh, I'm feeling a lot less confident in Zele's lineup now.
Well, I mean, this is the type of thing which you have thought the entire day through since you knew the format yesterday.
Mhm.
So I anticipate he's at least got something secure. Uh, Even something as simple as like not running that many minions and just getting all the totems out and then putting a bloodlust on. That doesn't require like any keyword.
Right. Well, if I would have to guess, I think stealth works slightly better than charge, but
No, actually, now that I think about it, charge makes a lot of sense because there are the face shaman decks, which try to kill you really quickly with cards like lava burst and
yeah.
like just crackle and doom hammer you down with the rock biters.
Hmm.
It turns out that that's mainly like a spell focused shaman deck. So
Well, it could be
the
that. It
spell
could be a
down.
spell damage
Yeah.
shaman deck. Apparently,
Speaking of
that's what
spell damage,
Strifecrow is running. Yeah.
yeah, we actually got to take a look at Strivecrow's deck, and he's now woken up. Apparently, he got the time zone conversions incorrectly. Oops. Uh, I can understand that.
Oh, come on.
Anyways, he had some really interesting cards with Cobalt Geomancer and Ogre Magi and Dalaran Mage. It actually looks like a pretty trashy deck to me, but when you combine it with like all the spell things that Rogue can do, as well as the risk of oil, maybe it was something.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we were talking a bit about that. The spell damage minions are generally very poor stats for their mana cost, so they don't really fight their own battles very well. So you have to constantly control the game. And on one hand, whenever you play against like an oil rogue and you see a spell damage minion, you absolutely feel required to kill it. So it's very valuable to them. But on the other, if they're not able to defend their creatures, it feels like the deck would just get run over. So. Yeah, a bit tough to gauge, and unfortunately, we won't get to see it play. Apparently, we're being told that Zele is browsing his collection. It's possible that there might be a mistake in one of the new decks,
Oh man.
and that would really, really suck. Um, maybe he's looking for that extra favor with the mods. Yeah, yeah.
This is really interesting also because Shaman, I believe, is the one class that hasn't been brought to this tournament yet. No, actually, we haven't seen Warrior, but other Warrior and Shaman were
Yeah.
the two classes that we haven't seen. And Zale, having seen like most of the matches, has decided to go with Shaman of all things. So
Hmm.
that's quite a call to make.
It is indeed. If you guys are not too aware,
I got
what
it! I've got it!
what is it?
Ancestors call out the Malagos and then burn them out, and then it's a spell power Gadak.
Yeah, that's not too bad, but
That
I think
doesn't use a
that
lot of minions either.
it does use a lot of like draw cantrips though, doesn't it?
Oh, that's true. Hmm.
I mean, yeah, if you could do that, it might be really nice, but if you can't do that, you're using spells to keep up on the board, so when the combo actually happens, what would you have left? Hmm. Maybe with some new TGT cards, like Elemental Destruction.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I look forward to seeing it. Looks like we're going to start off with something a bit more standard, though. Maz's priest deck struggled a lot in the last match, and he barely pulled it through. We'll see if he manages to, oh boy, to get a win with the priest deck.
Yeah, this priest deck, it just feels a little bit slow, and it doesn't have many comeback mechanics. And the paladin is
Oh, what a top deck! Oh
it
my
is
gosh,
it is a really big top deck there, that's for sure.
turn one top deck.
All right. Well, Zale's coin bomber play is much worse now. It's actually so bad I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't even make it. Wow, that's a sick draw.
All right. Fun fact: in the next expansion, that play has merit because it lowers the cost of Frost Giant.
Mm-hmm. It is
Kill the
interesting.
opponent's face.
All right. Well, looks like the bomber does come down. No dream scenario. No 3% kill on the 1/3 health creature on the board.
Yep. So that's just about as good as you can get while failing.
Yeah. And now we might see the Peacekeeper, but it might not work out quite as well as you definitely want a Peacekeeper the Hungry Dragon instead if you knew about it.
Yep. Amaz, with what looked to be an absolute trash hand, has managed to get his 1 drop activated and then get a 3 drop with the activation and a 4 drop. Oh,
That's a fun one. All
yeah,
right.
Amaz is going to need to kill that.
All right. Well, Amaz, he can't really kill that creature too. Oh, he can. That's right. All right. Well, Amaz counters here with a very vicious Holy Nova, but he does not have one.
Yeah,
And
it
in
could be fun to Shadow Madness the girl next turn and then be able to heal and draw a card. Amaz with a pretty slow hand.
I feel with Shadow Madness and double Shadow Word Pain, you might just be inclined to throw out at least one Shadow Word Pain here, maybe even two.
I think the second one would be a bit too extreme. Just killing a 1/2 with it.
All
Yeah,
right,
this one's fine.
all right. Amaz is doing okay, but he's still a bit all in as he doesn't really have any other decent creature available.
Yeah,
So
Soleil's
if
hand isn't that great. He's got 2 4/3s for 3. He's got a healing card, which isn't that strong against a control class like Priest. And he's got a Mad Bomber, which he can't play. So Soleil is not really pushing aggression that much.
what do you think about dropping down Lotheb and using the weapon to hit the dragon once?
Huh. Yeah, I think I liked that. That protects all your guys from the Holy Nova. That looked pretty scary here. Zillia's probably watched the Maz's games, and we haven't seen Holy Nova or Light Bomb
Hmm.
yet,
But
which is a
I'd be
bit surprising.
there's no way this deck is missing both of those cards.
It's possible because he is running 2 Shadow Madness, I would presume, because of the Shrinkmeister and the Recombobulator. And if you ran 2 Shadow Madness, possibly you could feel like, okay, I don't actually need any more AoE.
Hmm. All right. Well, I don't really like his position too much. I feel like Shadow Madness might even be worth it here.
Yeah, we're gonna play a 2-1. Ugh, and just dies to the weapon.
Wow. Yeah, everything is so vulnerable here. Um, I think what I oh consecrate. I was
That's
thinking
rough.
of a bomber coming down, but that is so much better.
And now Amaz's hand is pretty trashy. Speaking of Recombobulator, it looks like Amaz has really based a lot of this around Shadow Madness, and he's also got the Brewmaster to potentially take something.
Hmm.
Amaz might be going for like the full combo of Shrinkmaster into Shadow Madness into Brewmaster. What a really slow idea, though.
Yeah, yeah. That consecrate almost shuts him out of the game here. And that draw is fine, but it's just not good enough.
I wouldn't call a 5 mana 5/4 fine.
Is that Firebat in the background in Zele? You think Firebat is paid to gather some information? The spy. All right. Of course, both these players are on Team Archon. They're probably playing from like rooms that I wouldn't be surprised if they were side by side right now. All right. Well, the information doesn't really matter too much. as Zele has a considerable lead against Amaz's deck, which has not shown to have any board clears. Not yet, anyways.
Yeah, it's tough to get a board clear that'll work too, because even Light Bomb doesn't kill off the 5/6. Maz is forced into in a kind of weak play over weak play.
I think one of the best plays that, or one of the best cards Amaz could have drawn was a Shrinkmeister to Shadow Word Pain the 5/6 and maybe even panda it back to get a nicer Shadow Madness in the future.
Yeah. No, actually, you would do Shrinkmeister, Shadow Madness,
And
Panda
then
there.
Panda. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right, you're right.
that would have been a really good draw.
Well, it's no longer possible. The Lotheb comes down in a very crushing situation where Amaz really is going to struggle to stay alive through this turn. Wow.
Hmm.
I don't even know what would work here, but he gets 2 tries at it. That is not it.
Nope.
Alright, let's try again. He needs probably some kind of taunt or something. Maybe a charger would work. Oh, is that good enough?
Let's see. If it hits a 1/1, that's
Yeah.
10, 11, 12, 13, and 16 still. So, nope.
Oh, it's 16 with a muster though, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. Oh, play the bomber. Play the bomber. Oh, yes. Yes, make him feel bad. Oh, damn.
Almost.
Almost BM. All right. Well, again, we see Amaz's priest deck struggle. Zele's paladin has been completely solid all throughout the tournament, so getting a win on that isn't too big of a deal. But if Amaz would have won, I think he would have been in really, really good shape. Instead, he's a little bit behind now. Still a lot of play left. Again, we are playing best of 7 in our GEICO Brawl #2 finals. And I'm really just excited to see that Shaman deck. I'm going to lock in my decision with Stealth. I think Stealth is slightly more likely than Charge.
Okay. I think it still has an outside chance of spell damage. We're going to not get it again. I actually think that Amaz's priest deck could get 0-4'd. It's possible.
All right.
We've got Amaz's new deck. Looks like he has decided to go with Taunt, and he even has Nourish in there, so it's going to be a long game plan against Zele's very aggressive opening. But that's about as good of a situation as you can get for the Taunt deck. Well,
Is it? That
mostly.
didn't seem that
I
good.
mean, it's as good a matchup as you can get, I should have said.
Right, right. Matchup wise, you're correct, but that hand's like one wild growth of being really, really good.
Yeah, this might be one of those you just try to Turbo Nourish. You even get to hero power the Leper Gnome, so that is something.
Wow. Okay, well he does go with the Turbo Nourish play. Makes it so he can play a 5-mana taunt next turn, which is really nice, but um, it does have you take a lot of extra damage at the start of the game. So there are perhaps some repercussions to that. Like if we see a Huffer here, it's going to be crushing. Oh
Oh,
man, well played indeed.
oh, yeah. Even the Sludge Belcher isn't going to kill the Huffer because Huffer will just end up going to a 1/2 with the quick shot behind it.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to swipe here.
So it turns out that Druid of the Claw would be a lot better, but that's only if you exactly know that the opponent has quick shot.
Um, is it? I mean, if he has kill command, this is also worse.
That's true. Turns out that 6 health was a really key breakpoint here
Yeah,
versus 5.
yeah. Hmm. Well, if Zele does make a slow play, he's gonna get totally rocked by that Force of Nature, I believe. All right, no slow play in sight. I like it.
Yeah, the swipe will be able to clear everything though. So that's like
It
a
will,
nice.
but Amaz still has nothing to play with it, so he's still gonna be behind on the board one turn.
Yep. He draws the second part of the combo. So with the swipe on the face, if Amaz manages to survive until turn 9, the
Might be nuts.
14 damage, that's basically Amaz only needs 8 more since it appears he would also hero power.
One thing to note is, this is Clash of the Keywords. Cards that have multiple functions, like Druid of the Claw, those cards have to be played in their appropriate form. So Amaz is not able to play the Druid of the Claw in charge mode. I
Oh,
believe he
that's right. I'd forgotten
drops the
about
game
them.
if he does. Yeah.
I thought that the 8 damage would be easier to get because Druid of the Claw would just add in 4, but that's not the case.
What Core Rager is a reasonably good card here. I feel like if Zele picks up a Hunter's Mark, he just wins the game. Oh, wow. Bow. Well, he can bow, quick shot, and bore.
Yep, setting up for a monstrous Core Rager.
All right,
Good in
not
a
bad.
format where Amaz cannot have Silence or BGH.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to deal with that creature as most of the. Um... Ooh. All right. Well, Amaz has set himself up for lethal, so
Yeah, and Delay doesn't have an answer, so he
he
needs
has
to
to get
get
one.
an answer. Doesn't get it.
Nope. All right, and unless Amaz misplays here, Amaz will take the game. It'll be a very, very narrow victory, but okay. Well, looks like lethals will not be missed today. I didn't even think it was his turn, and I saw Force of Nature
Yeah,
come down.
that was fast. Little Exorcist is an interesting addition because you do know the opponent is playing Death Rattle Hunter, but
Hmm.
you know only 1 out of his 4 decks are, so I wonder if that's actually even worth adding Little Exorcist if only
Well,
25% of the time you're playing against Death Hunter.
you have to consider. Oh, I guess you're right because he did make this deck after the fact. No, you're absolutely right. Um, hmm. I was thinking, it's 1 in 3 because you have to qualify to get here, but not this deck. This Druid deck was crafted specifically for this final match.
Hmm. Well, he does manage to take a win with it. I still think the toughest win for Moz is going to be that Priest, and he is going with it. Zalay with the Druid matchup, that's tended to be one that's better for Priest, but we haven't actually seen Shadow or Death, or Mind Control, or Light Bomb, or Holy Nova in this deck.
Right, but that Death Lord is like an extreme liability here with Amaz playing double Shadow Word Pain, and even Shadow Madness if he wants to like soften it up a little bit.
Right, or even Cabal Shadow Priest, usually a pretty good steal.
Yeah. Right. Recombobulator looks fine. I think Amaz realized that this deck is just extremely slow with no comeback mechanics. He has to play it as fast as possible. So I certainly approve of this play.
Yep. Zalay's got some options.
Not really. Those options suck.
Well, the options are basically innervate out the Senjin or don't.
All right. Well, he's going with the do,
That's gonna be
and
punished by the pain.
yeah. Wow. Look at these plays. They're so fast. Wow. Look at that. Do you want to play that though? I think you do because then you have more flexibility to lead into the Hungry Dragon, which is a lot harder to deal with from a
Yeah,
Druid.
that's really good. And Amaz actually has a board to be able to deal with the Hungry Dragon drop. That's a big deal.
Yes, it is. All right, so Hungry Dragon has to come down here. It looks like we have a Loatheb follow-up. Wow, things are going really well for this pre-stack. If he gets a good RNG here, it's going to be a blowout. And that is pretty good. Could have been a lot worse than that, so...
Wait, what? I mean, that's pretty bad for a Moss because you're really hoping for 1-2. I think. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but there are cards that you can't even kill, which are significantly worse.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a decent number of them, actually. I think 2 damage doesn't kill, like, maybe as much as a quarter of the things that come out of that thing.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Quite a few 3 health ones. You're right.
Alright, well, looks like Druid of the Claw is it. There's just absolutely no other option here.
Yeah.
It,
The one thing that's going for Zalay is that it doesn't look like Amaz has an answer to Ancient of War.
not yet, anyway. He does have some pretty big dragons, and again, this Druid deck's pretty good, but like you just don't have those big answers here. Like he can't even
Yeah.
Ancient of War here. This has to be a swipe turn
Wait, why can't you Ancient of War?
because it just dies to the board.
Well,
Or
that's pretty
your
good to kill
swipe,
off 2 of the 5/2s.
and it's better to do that
Oh,
with
you're
just one
right. You
swipe.
can swipe and kill off, yeah. And then the Ancient of War is even better. Absolutely. The way that you were putting it was like, oh, Zolay's got no chance. But with the 7-drop Ancient of War, 8-drop Protector, I
Hmm.
think that's really strong next 2 turns for Zolay, especially given what we've seen from Amaz's deck.
Yeah, Amaz will have to draw out another Shadow or Pain, I believe, here to stabilize.
Yeah, that will be a big deal.
All right, Zalay does go for it. Does seem very strong. Amaz hasn't. It's a pretty weak turn here, but he does have a lot of 9 drops to follow. That is the most 9 drops I've seen in one hand for a very long time. All right, looks like he wants to soften it up a little bit.
I wonder if he's being like, oh, 2 is not 3. No, he just needs to get that board. It's pretty disappointed to not hit anything with the Cabal Shadow Priest, but
Well,
you know
Zalay
the
has a lot of damage here, by the way. Like a lot of damage. He's got 21, I believe.
yeah, he's almost there. In fact, if he plays the Ironbark Protector, and if Amaz doesn't actually, let's see, so well, Amaz can no, he can't quite clear the board with what he has. So it's looking like the simulation is showing that if Soleil plays Ironbark Protector, Amaz will lose with his current hand.
Hmm.
Well, not
Also,
quite, not quite,
5,
but
7.
close.
Yeah, not quite, but close. You're right.
If Soleil takes out the 4/5, though, that makes the Ironbark Protector a lot harder to kill. So that's probably his main thought. Oh, he's going to help clear the board right now and try to keep the Ironbark Protector alive.
Okay, and Deathlord
Oh,
comes
not even
down
with
to
the
stop
Savage
the
Roar.
aggression.
That's pretty good because you do have the other copy.
Yep. All right. Now he's forced into playing a 9 drop. What will he get from his Nefarian?
Not
Okay,
bad.
sure, sure.
No loser cards like Savagery.
Yeah. I wonder if it's time to play the Ironbark now. I guess so. Ooh, a heal bot. That actually changes some things. Maz knows that Zele is really trying to push for a combo lethal here as soon as possible, and that denies it a little bit.
Right. Right now, with only the tree, though, that is only 24, 14 plus 10. So maybe Amaz feels like, okay, I can kill off the Death Lord and still stay alive, even in the worst case that Zalay is holding the combo. And he does go for it. Gets a 4-1. And oh my gosh, does he have enough time to attack with all of these guys?
But it's still not enough. It's one off lethal, and then Amaz's plan is just Alistraza himself up.
Wait, does he have lethal? Um, Amaz is really close.
Uh, whoa,
He's too
Healbot.
short IP. 8, 12, 14. He's one short.
All right, well, I don't believe Zele can clear this board. He has to actually
Wow.
pick up a taunt not to lose, and then swipe with that, and then it has to not die to Starfall either.
Wow, Amaz has managed to find a win with his priest deck in quite spectacular fashion, I'd say.
Did he regain his turn? Okay, he did, but it's not good enough, is it? Oh, he can pick up a 2 mana taunt. He can pick up a 2 mana taunt, innervate it out. Oh no, he can't because it dies to Starfall.
Oh,
Wow.
but maybe he's stacked enough animations that Amaz would. Oh man. Oh wait, no,
Another
doesn't
one was
doesn't
dead.
exist anymore. Wait, that
But
would have been that.
that that could have
Okay,
been the way out. You're right. Just to stack up the animations
leave
and
this Dormu alive.
deny the turn from Amaz. With his hand, I think it was actually reasonably achievable there. But yeah, instead Amaz picks up the win there. The priest deck just overpowering the druid just slightly. I really like Amaz's risk taking by playing into combo. You know, if he had combo, I'm still gonna have one life left. But funny enough, Zele's next card was Innervate, and had he drawn Innervate one turn earlier, Zele would have had that last point of lethal.
Yes.
All right, well, it is going to be a Hunter versus Druid matchup once again. The Druid does not have the life gain, but it does have pretty good stopping power, um, and it does have the closer with the combo, as we've seen in a few games already.
All right, so they picked up all the ramp. That's looking pretty good. You can innervate out Sludge Belcher, especially against the hunter.
Yeah, it's also nice to know that while innovating out Sludge Belcher is also quite nice, he's going to be on 4 mana the turn after, so he has the option to Wrath, Swipe, or maybe even play a 4 mana Taunt.
I'm surprised by Moss. He just played turn two Snake Trap instead of Scientist. That Snake Trap can't even get procced yet. I guess Amaz is planning for the really long term of Harvest Golem
Guess so.
Shredder. Hmm.
Maybe he just wants to threaten a freeze trap and
Yeah,
just not get attacked.
kind of a play where you look to the really long term.
Hmm. Well, he is going to get found out here. All right, the Harvest Golem goes down, and the reveal gives Zell the opportunity to hit for 4 face damage. I really like the attacks here.
Yeah, I think I like two
Oh,
attacks.
yeah,
One attack is strange.
like 2 attacks a lot better as well. That is really strange.
I guess that
Um,
puts it in the kill command range, but there's no kill command and there's no beast.
well, there is a beast right now, but it's not going to be there. Yeah, and there it goes. The RNG here might be pretty significant, but no, it doesn't quite work out. I think I'd be interested in just a face hit again. You know you're playing against a Death Rattle deck. You know there's not going to be like an abusive sergeant to punish you here.
Right. That knowledge is pretty important. The fact that there's nothing that can punish you from them having a minion on the board. Right.
Ooh, Sunwalker, very nice. That's a really good pickup because next turn you probably want a hero power to finish off the Sludge Belcher. And, oh, another good one.
Yeah. All right. Sludge Belcher. But Zele's main headache right now is that Savannah Hymen is just so valuable.
Yeah, that
And
was
there's no silence in this deck.
that's a pretty ridiculous draw from Amaz on turn 6. It's like the only thing that would even consider like keeping him in the game right now. It's not even keeping him in the game right now. I think he's winning.
Yeah, that's what you do when you get a 6 mana 10/9. A lot better than his other play would have been Shredder Scientist, which granted would have been pretty good as well, but it runs him out of cards a lot faster.
Right. And if he did the Shredder Scientist play and drew something like Clockwork Gnome on the turn after, I think he would have just fizzled out.
This is a little unfortunate on Zelay's side that he has to use the Divine Shield on 1 damage, but that's what you do.
Yeah, quite unfortunate. I think there's actually some merit just to break the Divine Shield on the 3-1. And the 1-2 doesn't really threaten that much, it's just a bit annoying. Right now, I think Zelay's game plan is to just push for another 7 damage. He knows he's very unlikely to run up against too much more in the way of taunts. I mean, the most there could be is one other Sludge Belcher. And he probably just wants to finish the game by drawing a Force of Nature. You have to look at it this way. He's at 27. He has quite a few turns ahead of him, even if things go really badly, which I guess they're starting to.
Yeah, that Sunwalker buys him a bit more time. At this point, yeah, it's pretty much almost like trying to set up the combo only. It doesn't look like you can win with conventional means anymore.
All right. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that you play the Sunwalker. I just think there's some decision to make here in terms of whether you want to hero power down as a high main or not.
Yeah, if you do kill it, then the 6/1 doesn't just completely kill your 3/5, and you can even kill a 2/2 off for what looks to be almost no pain.
I think you're forced into hitting face with every single creature you play.
Yeah, you look into the long term enough, and there's it's very difficult to get any more damage in.
I like this. It just sets up very poor trades for Amaz.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Speaking of taunts, there we go. Wow! Look at that.
Wow, that's really good. If you, I don't think you would get the creepers. You would get 1, 2, 3 guys on the board.
Yeah, you don't want to play the creeper here because it's not that you're not going to get much from the creeper. It's that it's going to nullify the feign death ability of your high main, just the base one, the death rattle of your high main. I mean,
Oh right, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So you're going to get 3 more creatures here, and then you want the high main to actually produce 2 hyenas when it dies, which it's going to.
That's pretty good. 2 mana, get 2 2/2s, and a random 2 drop.
hmm
Then you would, I guess. Oh, huh. I wonder if Amaz has thought this through, whether or not he can find a way to get those extra. Oh, that's not a good 2 drop.
No, it's not.
There's no
That's
room for
decent.
the.
Yeah, it's no room for the hyenas. He basically got a 1-1 instead of a 2-2 with this play.
Right.
So a little bit of a misplay there. I don't really know if he was hoping to get something from Shredder. Maybe I'm not imagining the full situation, but it seems even in an optimistic case, um, it may not work out.
All right. Very fortunate that there's a ghoul on the board, and it's going to allow him to clear off the 3/2 if he chooses to wrath it, and then uses the ooze. But he can't really clear off all the stuff. Amaz is fizzling out, but this might be enough still.
Yeah, it might be if Soleil just draws badly enough. Like, we have to keep in mind that this is a taunt druid. He doesn't have much in the way of card draw. So if those Force of Natures are like in the bottom 10 cards, he's not going to see them this game.
Yeah, it must be tempting to just cycle the wrath still also. So cycle, that it is. Oh,
Yep,
force of nature.
there is the Force.
He's gonna have to find a way to get through 4 damage though, and that's actually gonna be very tough.
All right. Mm. Yeah, Maz is pushing for a lot of damage on each of these turns, and he's got that taunt speed bump. Oh! He takes the face hit. That really surprises me.
Yeah, that's bold. I guess Amaz is seeing that he is behind a ghoul, and he does have the rusty horn. That's probably what shifted his idea to that. And by taking it, he does manages to save one of the hyenas, which might be enough because he is looking at his board, looking at his hand, doesn't have enough. The more I see that, like the face it is really bold, but might be very necessary.
Well,
And
he's still not
play out.
pushing for lethal here, though.
True, but it might have been. It looks like it was useful in getting lethal like earlier. Even though you don't push for like a 2 turn lethal, Maz might be setting up like a 3 or 4 turn lethal.
Well, there's Ironbark. I don't know if it's really all that useful. It does soak up a lot of damage.
It's like what? That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, it's pretty great.
On Amaz's side, like Zale can see, Amaz would probably plan to kill it with the.
Whoa!
Huh.
I was not expecting to see that. I guess this was the plan all along. I guess this is why he hit the ghoul with the hero power last turn. He wants to slow
Yep.
down the game even more to where his big creatures are relevant. Wow, what a bad draw. That has to be the absolute worst draw in the deck right now.
Yeah. Wow, that actually makes so much sense when you consider it because it looked like Amaz was dangling low enough that Force of Nature Savage Roar was going to be the way to win. But it just turns out it's so difficult to deal 1 damage to Amaz. So therefore, you go for this play instead.
Hmm.
And then you try to win with just the big taunt.
Well, I actually didn't see an innervate in his hand. I guess it was under the little bit of bug from the empty mana draw card thing.
Yeah, I'm going to guess Exus Mana drew it.
Hmm. All right, well, Ma's just gonna ping off some hero powers until he gets some direct damage. Not quite lethal here. It's kind of hard to do 8, but it's not impossible. There could be some quick shot into quick shot or kill command options. So Amaz
Right.
is on the ropes, but he's not out of it yet.
This was really well played by Zale in seeing the path. Didn't look extremely obvious. In fact, it looked like
Yeah,
the Force of Nature path was going to be the way, but Zale manages to navigate it so that he takes the path that actually wins.
absolutely. Very well played by Zale. And he does even it up with that, I believe. Amaz still struggling to find a win with his Hunter, and he has to get a win with his Paladin. Um, Now, Zele has his own Hunter, so I feel like that's fairly even, but it's really a mystery between these like weird decks. Like we have the Divine Shield Pally from Amaz, which I don't really know exactly how consistent it is. It seemed pretty strong, but then we have this Shaman deck that you're confident that Zele took a lot of time to figure out and prepare.
Yeah, at least I would. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Um, to bring something like this, it feels like it would require quite a lot of thought.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you did know a day ahead of time what you were going to get. There was just some talk about mistakes. So again, if players did make mistakes, um, they have to put in not neutrons, angry chickens, wisps, and alarmabots to replace the mistake cards, I believe. Pretty brutal. All right. Looks like a slightly better hand on Amaz's side, but he is going second. So if Zealot is able to draw into something quite nice, he probably will have the tempo lead, which is fairly important.
And the web
Still
spinner is
no two
very good
draw.
against the Clockwork Gnome.
There's that
It'll be so
Sylvanas.
good that Amaz will not play the Clockwork Gnome.
Right. Oh,
Or,
or he will.
whoa, okay. I
Well,
thought
he.
Coin Scientist was going to be the play there.
I think he just wants to coin out the high main. I think that's the idea. Whoa, the replay. The boar makes another appearance. Boar was actually like used in constructed like legend ranked hunter decks for a time, just because of its ability to push for damage in a tight spot, especially with Houndmaster.
Right, and I think there was some kind of Hunter Winter for a moment, so the boar ended up being really good to break that freezing trap.
Hmm. All right. Well, I'm kind of a fan of the bow, even though you take a lot of damage here. Actually, no, I'm not. You don't really want to freeze a boar, and you already have your snake trap in your hand. Wow, that sucks.
Who to shoot?
That just sucks. I guess you gotta go for it.
Yeah,
You do get the extra charge on the bow, so it's all right in that
Valley
sense.
Boar. Oh, Soleil doesn't have anything, but you can play the 3-mana boar.
Oh yeah, the tenacious boar getting that damage in one way or another.
If I try to hit face and I get frozen, I still hit face.
Yep. All right. Well, the sludge belcher is going to be pretty good. It's just that it looks like Amaz will get down the first high main, which is a nice spot to be in. All right. Yep, and this is what he was saving the coin for. The high main. Almost did it last game. Will it be enough this time?
Ooh,
Wow.
kind of scene. Huh,
That is really powerful.
that it is. I was almost thinking, would he have used the hero power rather than high main on this turn? No, he still wouldn't.
Hmm. Yeah.
Zole's hand, though, speaks power. That's power right there. 666.
And some direct damage, and you have the life lead already. You can get your opponent down to 15 this turn if you want, but you really should be playing a 6-drop. He chooses the Sylvanas over the high main. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's rare to be able to play the Sylvanas from behind and have it guaranteed steal something while you won't die. So that was the slowest card out of all of them, and it's in this situation where it's good. So I like it. Not to mention you played it after the high main, which means you can actually steal the hyena.
Yeah, well, there's going to be a lot of hyenas to be stolen here with the Feign Death draw from Amaz. Oh no. He sets up a very annoying board state where his high main can hit face a few times.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Tempting to just go for the Feign Death while you have the high main and even a random beast, but you can get the high main and the random beast still later.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because Owl isn't being run. No way to get around that Sludge Belcher except through it.
Yeah, well, through it, it's going to have to go. Amaz does gain a lot of favor from this board position. It was behind the life total a huge amount, and in prior games we've seen that this has been the decisive factor. Equalizing it is a pretty big deal, but he just has a pretty weak turn next with just the Feign Death. It kind of populates the board with cards that aren't particularly good, and with him being as low as he is, it might just not be good enough.
Gee, I'm actually kind of seeing this as the turn. Like, Amaz is a little bit like he's ahead in the sense that he might just be able to close out the game before Zalea managed to stabilize. We can see Zalea actually doing a few desperation plays almost, just because he is feeling the pressure. Has to kill command. I believe that had either 1 health or 2 health, or maybe even 3. But it's just he couldn't play a Savannah high main.
Yeah, it's true. This does stop a lot of the incoming damage with the Mad Scientist.
Here we go, Fade Death value.
How valuable will it be? Let's see. Wow, that's pretty valuable right now. I like that a lot. Give me that Mukla. That actually prevents the quick shot from really getting a good outcome over the next 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah, it's nice. Amaz would like to set up a board position where he cannot have his high main die to the Sylvanas, but it
That's
looks
not a
like that's
reality
not
right
going to
now.
be.
Yeah.
Wait, that will be possible if he uses the high main into the Mad Scientist, and then the Savannah, and then Sylvanas is forced to go into Ooze.
Hmm.
Oh, rope.
Well, he got the damage
Gets the
in.
attacks. That was
Uh,
the more direct and obvious play. Just
mhm.
push for the damage. Don't worry too much that the Sylvanas will go into your high main.
If this was an Unleash, though, man. Yeah, I think if it was an Unleash, it would have guaranteed the high main, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be huge.
Yeah, it would have guaranteed the high main.
I think at this point you have to go for the chance that you get a high main. Let's see. So you would probably quick shot one of the tutus and then send the Savannah high, send the Sylvanas into a hound and then go for a 1 in 4. It's at this point where you have to like take some really big risks.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't believe Amaz has the finisher, even if Zele does not get lucky here.
Oh,
Wow!
wow. And now
High
Zelay
main
is
bros.
way in the lead.
There's like no chance now. There's literally no chance.
That was a
He
that was a swing of like 14, no, 16, 16, 12 in
he needs
stats,
a taunt
16,
spare
14.
part here. Oh, he does get a
Something.
taunt spare part. I believe Beast into taunt spare part is good enough to stay alive.
Yeah, but staying alive isn't going to do you much good.
Um, maybe not. Yeah, actually, how do you win with 1 turn? You're right.
There's
I
a
think you.
30 stat point swing right there. That's really big.
All right. Well, that is just not gonna cut it. Yeah, the idea is to optimistically get a swing in with a beast and top deck kill command. But it is in fact Zelay with the kill command. And now a quick shot as well, which steals out the game. There we go. So now we are forced into seeing this shaman, which may be terrible, which will certainly be weird. And rumors are it has some less than favorable cards, i.e., chickens, wisps, and alarmabots. So we'll have to see how that plays through. It is going to have to go through Amaz's Hunter deck, which does seem pretty top tier, even though it's lost a few games in the tournament already. I can't really fault him for that too much. The deck is solid; it just hasn't been too favorable of a situation, and really, it's Zolay's great play and great risk taking that has denied a lot of these games from Amaz.
Yep.
Well, is that a charging or a divine shield deck? Last
My
chance.
money's on charge.
And it is. Oh,
I
no.
expect this to be even.
Oh, Divine
Okay. Well
Shield!
done.
How about
Rip my
that?
money.
Yep. All
I
right,
was
well, we have.
expecting it to be like a full face deck, but I suppose if one deck will do it, you can buff some cards with divine. What? What is going on? There's not that many options.
No, there really aren't that many options.
There are no class cards from Shaman, obviously, with Divine Shield, and there's not really that many Divine Shield cards out there. But
Right.
Zlay's gonna just be getting it behind the like good Shaman hero power and good spells.
Yeah, I think the idea is that you just make these minions too difficult to remove, so you push for enough face damage, and the spells kind of carry over later on. You have to keep in mind all weapons are legal as well, so
Wow,
most
Silver Moon Guardian makes the cut.
yeah, of course. And this is like 24 hours of engineering here that we're seeing from Zalay. Maybe the time could have been used more wisely.
Oh, BM BM. I mean, it's really non-obvious a choice, but when you think about it, Shaman probably is the class with the most amount of spells that you can actually cast. So it's probably
Mhm.
less of a focus on the actual keyword and more of a focus on just running all of these good spells.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see spell damage and Ancestor's Call in this case, but I guess you couldn't draw enough cards in that case.
I really feel that deck would not have worked. I don't feel this is too bad either. It I don't know. I would have just liked to see a charging deck or a stealth deck before this one. But I wouldn't put this at the bottom. I think the spell damage deck would be at the bottom.
Hello, one.
Oh,
Oh, never
miss.
lucky.
That was a mistake.
All right. Well, actually, ZLA has been pretty lucky this tournament. All right, so most likely a freeze trap there. The storm is pretty tempting, but I feel like you really just want to kill that Misha with your weapon and maybe storm a bigger board.
That's right. You do predict it to be perhaps freezing, but there's always the risk that it is snake, and it is actually snake here.
Okay. Well, that does make Lightning Storm a pretty good option.
Right. I think you'd take the trade here, and Lightning Storm will be really good, especially since Zalay can proc the snakes. It's gonna be a little bit tough based on how much damage he's willing to take. We know that the best play would be Axe into Bear and then Lightning Storm, but in the case that's Freezing Trap, that looks really dumb.
Yeah, I think it looks so dumb that you don't even make that play. I think you just Lightning Storm here. Because if you trigger no trap, there's just value in that. Like your opponent can't use his last charge on his weapon effectively and he's running low on cards. So I think if it is Snake, you wouldn't want to do that. And if it's not Snake, you wouldn't want to do that. So I think you just don't do that.
I'm not sure you can get away the entire game without ever attacking Amaz's minions if you're the shaman, so I think there is legitimacy in wanting to proc it. In addition, Amaz only has 2 cards left, so even though that gets another charge, like perhaps he can get away with it. I would anticipate this is the main decision that Zlay's thinking about right now, whether or
Hmm.
not to attack or not. Goes with the Sunwalker also.
Okay. Ooh, and a
It's
Belcher
kind of
pickup
like
is really
a
nice.
half measure almost of I don't know whether that's snakes or whether that's freezing, so I'm just gonna play this, and that's okay against both.
All right. Well, Sludge Belcher is really nice. That kill command is also very appealing here. I feel like I actually like the Belcher more. I don't think a 4/1 creature is really all that valuable. This is significantly more aggressive, though. And I guess you also have to wonder, there's probably only one more Sunwalker, maybe an Annoyatron in terms of taunts,
Yeah,
and
it was
not
really
much in terms of
important
healing.
to also take into stock that nothing bad happened to your 1 health minion last turn, so
Hmm.
nothing bad will happen to it this turn, perhaps.
All right, Lightning Storm does come down. Um, I feel like axing is a bad idea because then you could not play your Argent Commander next turn, and you really need to play your Argent Commander next turn to play something.
Yep. It feels like Zalay had Like these axes aren't great cards, and the Silver Moon Guardian is obviously not a great card. So it's almost like he struggled to put in the last few cards of this deck, and I think we're seeing the bottom 10 or 20% of his deck.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Amaz really, really wants that double charge on his bow, and I think he is right in being greedy for it. Okay. Throws down the spare part as he wants Nozdormu to come down next turn for sure.
The big closer.
Hmm. Well, I think you just go for it. I think those wide eyes of Zele explain the situation pretty appropriately here. I think if it's freeze, you just go for a YOLO crackle. But if it's snake, you just go for it. Oh man, this is dire. Wow.
Got him.
All
Now,
right.
whether or
Well,
not you
that's good
attack is
enough.
not actually obvious. It does make the attack and gets the snakes though.
Yeah, I don't think he's too happy about that. Amaz is pushing for a lot of damage right now, and I don't see how Zele can adequately stop it.
Here we go. It's
I
go
think
time.
it's Nozdormu time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well,
push for 5 here
honestly though, Shredder, Loot Hoarder,
just
um,
to get that hero power.
yeah. Four Nose Dorma.
Yeah, you're right. It's far more irritating, more difficult to get rid of. And Zele not only has to deal with the board, but he actually has to taunt up or gain life. And those are two things that are, I think, impossible right now. He would need Earthshock, Lightning Storm #2, and a Taunt Totem to stay alive. I think that's the only thing I can come up with. Like a Doomsayer doesn't do it here. I guess a sheep would. If he gets a sheep, explosive sheep is the card. Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, explosive
And there was
sheep
no
into
way
a
to
taunt.
like do 23 damage before Steady Shot got you anyways.
I don't know. Double Rock Biter. Maybe there's like a Wind Fury in the deck, and maybe like, can you gain life with that deck at all? Is it possible?
Nope, no
No.
Divine Shield life gain until TGT.
Yeah, some spell life gain makes it possible. All right. Well, Zele is kind of stuck on his shaman here again. He's going to be playing against Paladin. Well, he's got the lightning storms. He's got those weapons. While he's going to take a lot of damage using the weapons, the Stormforged Axe is a formidable tool against the annoying small creatures with Divine Shield.
Yeah,
And
the
Earthshock.
Earthshock is going to be really good.
Yeah. And
I don't
Hex for
think
a King's
it's
target.
yeah, I don't think it was that obvious to Earthshock the Argent Squire because you might Earthshock off a buffed card, but with the
hmm
Hex, you can just go ahead and throw that in the Earthshock now.
You can also just count an Earthshock and something maybe a bit bigger, like Scarlet Crusader. I
Yeah,
like the
that's
Annoyantron
a
here.
huge deal. I like that too. Ooh, Scarlet Crusader.
Yeah. And Amaz has a really bad attack here, actually. But, oh, it's going to make it. I think here you develop the axe and don't even use it. As you know, it's going to stay up. It's not going to get oozed. You're not playing anything
I
next
like
turn
that.
anyway. You should
Well,
be overloading.
right. That way you can play the Silver Moon Guardian on 4.
Yep.
It might look tempting to use the hero power and then next turn you play the Axe and Mirror Shock, but that does block the Guardian.
It's too bad these players aren't able to play Blood Knight. I'd like to see one of
Yeah.
those monstrous
What a match to
creations.
end this on. Divine Shield versus Divine Shield.
Not only that, it's Paladin versus Shaman.
Yeah, Shaman is not the first class that came to mind for a Divine Shield deck. I mean,
Absolutely.
Paladin is the first class, and I think it's the only class that even has any Divine Shield minions.
Hmm.
So I guess Shaman makes sense just because it has the best spells.
All right. Well, if Zelia makes the what I think is the right play, okay. Well, this is also good. This plays around muster for battle at least.
Yeah, actually, that is probably better just because of the muster play.
Hmm. All right. Well, that's the Crusader that died to Earthshock. Will forever be known. One of many. All right, there it goes. And Amaz's board is clear, making his turn 4 absolutely terrible.
Yep,
I think
that's
you just
it's all
developed your
right.
silver. I think that's it. Again,
Oh,
you cannot be
no,
punished
I
for
actually
doing
think you
so.
do Avenge and Guy because the next turn you don't have a play either.
No, but Avenge is more flexible than True Silver. True Silver has some denial possibility.
I think it's more that the Guy is a pretty big deal because it would take the axe, and the True Silver doesn't do anything.
Hmm. It's true that True Silver is, for board control, True Silver is considerably worse than the Stoneforge
Additionally,
Axe.
every single thing that Zalea is going to play has Divine
Yeah,
Shield, which means it's
exactly.
really bad for True Silver.
Yeah. Man, that's Silvermoon Guardian value. Trading with a True Silver and dealing damage. Whoa.
Mm. Oh,
Well,
there's
that's
that True
actually
Silver.
what it's gonna do.
That is a really good Silver Moon Guardian.
Yes, indeed. Hmm. All right. Well, I guess you want to just do the totem and the Scarlet Crusader. You just have to think about your sequencing to play around things. So if you use the creature to kill the 1/1, um, you effectively are playing into Consecrate.
Yeah, I think I would have gone with the axe there just because of the consecration risk. But then again, you are playing against a Divine Shield deck, so having that charge around is very useful. So, no, I like this. Now I think about it a little bit more.
All right. Well, Maz has completed the use of one of the worst True Silvers ever seen. 2 Divine Shields. Is inferior to Light's
No, I don't
Justice,
think
man.
consecration is an obvious play here. In fact, he's going to pass on it. Muster for Battle of Guy is a pretty good play, I think.
Okay. It does get you that Avenge, but it also gets you Lightning Stormed.
If you're getting your 4 guys Lightning Storm while there's a spell damage to him out, I don't think you feel too sad.
Hmm.
Definitely did not expect to see this type of matchup in this brawl.
No, absolutely not. All right, well, the guys are coming out, I guess. That's still a pretty horrifying True Silver.
Yeah, that's actually going to be a really good muster though, because Zlade currently doesn't have any reasonable answer to this.
Hmm.
Uh, no,
Crackle. It might be Faces the Place right now.
I think so. Zlade is entirely set up to deal with big threats, but not small threats.
You could also forcefully trigger Avenge. You can do so favorably.
Oh, that's true. Good moment to trigger it while he's got Commander. So Zlade has to put some thought into: is am I ever going to not attack face this game? Because that's a reasonable path to go. Amaz is not running Sunwalker, or we haven't seen it, and it doesn't seem like the type of deck that runs Sunwalker. I expect to see Tyrion Fordring in this
Yeah,
deck, though.
it's just too strong of a card to pass up on.
But for Tyrion, there is a Hex. So this is the big decision. It looks like Zlaya is committing to always attacking face from here on out.
You should consider even using the weapon then.
Oh, Noitron.
It's pretty good. Consecrated Nitron. Like to see the guy die there, yeah. And I wouldn't even mind a Blessing of Might. You'd curve out better, even if you draw garbage, you can play your Argent Commander.
Right. Also worth mentioning that Amaz does have Divine Favor in this deck, so getting rid of the cards can be quite helpful.
Ooh, Feral Spirit, not bad.
That's a good way of cheating more minions into your deck.
I think I like Crackle on the 4/1, and then hopefully Avenge goes on the Annoyatron, you hex it.
I think I might be more of a fan of just wolfing and then counting on the 4/1 to kill itself that way.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to find another play with it, but
Well,
at
you
least
can
next turn
do.
you can.
Mm, yeah. The Healing Totem, that actually changes absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Oh no, what it does do is, in the current board state, Amaz would have to sacrifice the taunt to get through Zele's creatures, and if he does that, then Zele might be able to further ignore the Avenge.
Quality draw. I guess you look at all the minions that have taunt and you figure there's actually not that many big ones.
Yeah, but you also just make a ridiculous push for face here. I think if Zele doesn't draw a Lightning Storm, he's basically finished here.
Might
Whew.
work.
Yeah. Yeah, it might.
It's going to be really hard to stabilize, but
Not
maybe if you
impossible.
taunt central with totems all the time.
He's also running the Sunwalkers, so maybe the Sunwalker is good enough to hold off Amaz's draws. And you have to keep in mind, Amaz is just drawing right now.
Right.
He could just draw absolute garbage. There's certainly a few pieces of that in this deck.
It's just that Zlay will be, it looks like at one. He or two rather.
Hmm.
Oh, that's a surprising order. I thought the axe would go on first.
I think he's just hoping the Avenge hits the 4/2 Divine Shield. If it doesn't, he's basically screwed. Yeah.
Well, if you did the axe first and then it also had the chance. I think my play, I would not have cast the crackle.
Hmm. All right. Well, that puts Zele at 1 HP next turn. Oh, 2 HP.
Right.
Still no Lightning Storm. Hmm. Zele is really on the ropes right now. He's just at the mercy of his deck. And Amaz is just drawn for lethal every single turn from here on out. That does not help Zele's cause at all.
Yeah, to be fair, that well, yeah, Maz has a lot of buffs. There's going to be a lot of ways to do it. That's going to probably do it.
Not necessarily. Yep, there it is. Whoa!
All
All
right,
right.
Maz
Amaz.
manages to take it home with the Divine Shield Mirror at the end. Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I mean, we were kind of guessing at the fact that this Shaman deck might tank pretty hard. Well, it did. So, yeah, congratulations to Amaz for taking advantage of the small weaknesses in the Shaman. You know, Amaz had his own little bit of a sidestep there with the Priest, but it was good enough just to marginally edge out Zele. Pretty fitting end though. Zele really did an extremely good job of figuring out the top three decks of the tournament. What, at least as I would see it, with his Taunt Druid, his Death Rattle Hunter, with his Battle Cry Paladin, he seemed pretty unstoppable. But this little bit of a change up, a little bit of a mix up in the final, really was his downfall.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I have to anticipate like maybe even Enrage Warrior would be better, just because you can play all the good Control Warrior things. Or there were quite a few more possibilities I would have put ahead of Divine Shield Shaman, I think.
Hmm.
Um, but He does manage to like get all the good spells in there, but he had to run some mediocre cards. Eh.
Yeah, tough stuff. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the tournament. There will certainly be much more in the One Nation of Gamers set of tournaments, and you guys can check that out if you want. In fact, I think you're attending one of those yourself pretty soon, aren't you?
Yeah, be sure to tune in to the PAX tournament. That's going to be the big first tournament of the grand tournament and the last tournament, which counts for BlizzCon standings. So that will be a big event. If you're going to PAX, we'll be happy to see you there. And if you're just watching, it's going to be a great tournament. Long process has made it so that there are 8 people participating, and it's going to be a big deal.
All right, big deal. Great stuff. Make sure to check that out. Also, thanks to Geico for sponsoring the tournament. We are doing a giveaway. Just to hit you guys off in the outro. If you guys want a chance to win a TSM PC, make sure to go to the website there or there. Yeah. All right. So check that out, guys. Geico.onog.gg. And that's going to be it from us. Again, big congratulations to Amaz. It's been great casting you the Trump. And we'll see you guys next time.